Chapter 1162. Taoist Wuji, you saw it too. Jiang Tian swept his gaze across the Yen Huang tribe members and smiled widely. They are the same as us. Black hair, black eyes, yellow skin. They have the same words as us and speak the same language. They are also unyielding like us and will not be enslaved. Most importantly, they are of the same mind as us. Aren't they our tribe members? Taoist Wuji, let's go together this time. Jiang Tian was not a saint. If these Yen Huang tribe members did not agree with him, protect him, and were not of the same mind as him, Jiang Tian would not care about their lives. But now, these people were obviously loyal and unafraid of death. In that case, they could become the foundation for Jiang Tian to rule West Earth. Fuck you. Li Wuji's tears and snot flowed down together. He really did not want to die, but he had to fight. He pulled out his treasure sword and gritted his teeth. I have always been a transcendent and peaceful person. I have never cared about the lives of others and only focused on Tao. Today, I have made an exception for you. If you die in battle, will you be afraid? You are not a Yen Huang tribe member, but this time, you will fight for them. Jiang Tian looked at Mao Hongdai and smiled. Will we die? Mao Hongdia's eyes were filled with tears and her gaze was dull. After which, she wiped her tears away and said with determination, Master, I'm not afraid. Humans should live with an indomitable spirit. Being enslaved and living on your knees is better than living in eternal life. Jiang Tian nodded and said, What are the sins of the humans of Earth? What are the sins of the Yen Huang tribe? What are the sins of Maolin City? We are not guilty. It's just that in their eyes we are weak. We are ants that they can trample on and bully as they wish. They do not allow us to stand up and be human. They hope that we will always kneel and worship them as gods and fear them. Kong Teichu, how dare you quibble? Wang Xianchao shouted angrily. I don't need to quibble. You guys are unreasonable. I can't be bothered to talk nonsense with you. Jiang Tian smiled. Yes, I am trampling on and bullying you. Being weak is the original sin. That's how we bully and humiliate you. What can you do? Fire Beacon Master's eyes spewed out flames as if he was a descending fire god. He was majestic and domineering as he glared at the world and shouted. You should have said so earlier. Jiang Tian suddenly flicked his finger and said with a slight sneer, Weakness is the original sin? There's nothing wrong with what you said. However, you guys are the weak ones. You really have eyes but can't see. What did you say? Fire Beacon Master was furious. He had cultivated the Red Lotus earthly fire to greater mastery and was a perfected golden core cultivator. He was the godson of West Earth's second orthodoxy. His vicious reputation was well known. Once he left the mountain, the smoke of war would spread for 1,000 li. Hundreds of countries and thousands of cities would be shaken, and the crown princes of countries would prostrate themselves in worship. His position was supreme and dazzling. He had always been the focus of the billions of people on this continent. However, Jiang Tian said that he was weak and had eyes but failed to see. I said you're an idiot and a piece of trash. Jiang Tian slowly stood up and coldly said, Since the West Earth doesn't care about the heavens, then I will use your blood to write down the heavens. Since the heavens and earth are heartless, then I will turn your world upside down. Since the heavens and earth are unfair, then I will use my fists to fight for my own justice. Today, I will use your wails and cries to announce to the world that the descendants of the Yellow Emperor cannot be humiliated. I, Kong Teichu, will not be bullied. His words were like thunder, powerful and resonant. When the last word fell, the 9 heavens and 10 earths simultaneously roared. A thick earth energy that pierced through the heavens and earth came out from Jiang Tian's dantian and rushed to the sky. Jiang Tian pointed in the air. This thick earth energy condensed into 1,000 zhang long earth-winged dragon that spanned across the sky and covered the sun and moon. Earth-winged dragon. This divine body was formed by Jiang Tian using the energy of the primal chaos source cauldron. The primal chaos source cauldron was an item that could create the heavens and earth. Back then, The previous Changshan sect masters couldn't control it and could only suppress it underground with a protective array to prevent it from erupting and destroying the Changshan sect and the entire West Earth. But in Jiang Tian's hands, a part of the primal chaos source cauldron was refined into the Earth-winged dragon's divine body. The moment the Earth-winged dragon rushed out, the many thick earth chains in Jiang Tian's dantian that were suppressing his divine body and false core all exploded. Those chains were as heavy as mountains and suppressed Jiang Tian's true essence to the extreme. When they exploded, Jiang Tian's endless power erupted. Boom! The 5 false cores rumbled, and an incalculable amount of innate 5 elements true yuan poured into the earth-winged dragon's body. Instantly, the earth-winged dragon expanded again, reaching a length of 10 miles. It swept across the heaven and earth, and split the sky into 2. At that moment, countless people looked up and couldn't believe what they were seeing. Then, all the Dharma forms in the sky were suppressed and only the earth-winged dragon was left. The thick earth dragon was about 10 miles long. It ran from east to west and almost divided Maolin City into 2 pieces. It carried huge pieces of Milky Way crystal sand on its back. It was like a huge mountain range pressing down from the sky. The thick earth aura fell down like a great river. It was pale yellow and extremely heavy. This is, he condensed it with galaxy crystal sand? Fairy Luo Mei was stupefied. She was flabbergasted. Galaxy crystal sand was an extremely dangerous item in the eyes of the sect masters. Even Ming Rui couldn't control and refine it. It was left in the basement and nobody cared about it. But in Jiang Tian's hands, it released endless power. In fact, not only her, even the Grand Elder Whitebeard, the Emperor of Xianbing country, Prince Mu Yang and Prince Jihan were stunned. They could only watch as the Earth-winged dragon crushed more than 30 golden core overlords in the sky. The Earth-winged dragon waved its giant claw and swept across the army of 100,000 cultivators, crushing them like withered chrysanthemums. The cultivators exploded in the sky one by one or were blown away like flower petals covered in blood. Hundreds of cultivators were crushed into ashes and a rain of blood. The Star River crystal sand smashed down like meteorites, smashing the building foundation stage cultivators into meat paste on the spot. Oh God! At this moment, there was absolute silence. Everyone was dumbstruck and flabbergasted. Everyone was shocked by Jiang Tian's earth-winged dragon Dharma form. The Dharma form was too powerful and vast. It seemed to be able to destroy a giant city and tear the earth apart. Even the Golden Rock Temple's Buddha would be frightened if he were there. But in fact, the earth-winged dragon wasn't a Dharma form. It wasn't formed by divine powers or essence chi. It was a real entity. It was Jiang Tian's divine body. Winged dragon soared into the sky as it roiled about. Its enormous head was like a mountain while its body was like a continuous mountain ridge. Its enormous claws covered the sky and blotted out the sun while its tail swept through the land and formed rivers, and it caused the heavens and the earth to be in chaos. The rain dragon roared like rolling thunder. The thick earthen aura spread out, crushing the void. Only after it swept through the army of cultivators in the sky a few times did it slowly curl up into Jiang Tian's dantian. In a few seconds, the earth-winged dragon had killed 100,000 cultivators and defeated the army of 1,000,000 cultivators in the sky. When the last earth chi dissipated and the dust settled, Wang Xianchao and the others could finally be seen. Merely at that moment, they were all incomparably miserable. They were in an extremely sorry state. Wang Xianchao was covered in blood. Many of his sword chi had exploded and injured himself. One of Huofenqing's arms was broken. He gritted his teeth and screamed. Bai Hu was covered in dust. Her hair was messy and her clothes were torn, revealing her delicate skin. She looked like a beggar on the street. The body of Monk Chun Gang, the first seat of the discipline hall, cracked and blood flowed out like metal. It was a shocking sight. Xiao Qing has staggered and her face was as pale as paper. They were all in the Golden Core realm and were in a good situation. As for those in the late stage or mid-stage of the Golden Core realm, they were even more miserable. When Jiang Tian unleashed the divine body of Winged Dragon, Lord Luo Ling, Zhan Xiong, Lord Qixia and the others all unleashed their Dharma artifacts or Dharma treasures in an attempt to fend off Winged Dragon's power. But it only lasted for a second. Their avatars and Dharma treasures were crushed by the Earth Qi. In the end, they could only resist with their bodies. Boom, boom, boom. Countless people were crushed by the Winged Dragon and spurted out blood. Even Fan Zhongshan, a mid-stage golden core cultivator, was crushed dozens of meters into the ground by a piece of galaxy crystal sand and died on the spot. Blood splashed in the air. Except for a few peak-stage golden core cultivators, almost all the other overlords were injured. They were either dead or disabled. How can he be so powerful? Huofeng's eyes were filled with fire and smoke came out of his 7 orifices. He looked at Jiang Tian in shock and anger, as if he were facing a formidable enemy, as if he had seen the murderer of his father. His heart was twitching and raging waves were stirred up. He didn't dare believe this. The power unleashed by Jiang Tian's divine body was far beyond their investigation and calculation. He was able to defeat 1,000,000 cultivators and more than 30 golden core perfected immortals, including 4 peak-stage golden core cultivators. Huofeng even thought that even his master, Huofeng, wouldn't be a match for him. However, Jiang Tian was only a mid-stage foundation establishment cultivator. How could he be so powerful? Jiang Tian's ability was comparable to a nascent soul heavenly lord. But how was that possible? West Earth had a vast amount of cultivation resources, but there hadn't been a single nascent soul cultivator in tens of thousands of years. He's already formed a fake core, but he's using a secret art to suppress his power. Besides, the energy of his fake core is so strange, as if it has all the 5 elements. Does he have 5 fake cores? Next to him, Xiao Qinghe stared at Jiang Tian and scanned Jiang Tian carefully with her immortal will. How is that possible? Hearing that, Wang Xianchao was dumbfounded. He couldn't believe it or didn't want to believe it. His face was deathly pale, and his face was filled with endless fear as he hysterically yelled, "Brotherly!" He shouted, "Every cultivator can only form 1 golden core. That's the law of heaven. Can he go against heaven's will? If he forms 100 golden cores, isn't that the same as the power of 100 golden core cultivators? Isn't he going to go to heaven?" Chapter 1163. Cut the crap. Kill him. Fire Beacon Master shouted angrily. Isn't he concerned about the Yanhuang tribe? Let's attack the Yanhuang tribe and distract them while we kill him. Kill. For the righteous path of the common people. Slay the demons. Many golden core true immortals were filled with killing intent as they roared and attacked together. You think I can't protect the Yanhuang tribe? Jiang Tian laughed. He immediately released the thick earth winged dragon. The winged dragon roared into the sky and its chest spewed out endless thick earth aura. It was mixed with chaotic aura that hung down like silk and turned into small grotto heavens that covered the Yanhuang tribe and Maolin city residents to defend against attacks. Li Wuji, Mao Hongdai, Fairy Luo Mei, Fan Xiuzhu, and the others all held their immortal treasures and stood guard outside these small grotto heavens. Immediately after, Jiang Tian's body swayed and flew towards the golden core true immortals. Kong Teichu, if you stop now, follow me to see the Arhat. The Arhat is virtuous and will definitely give you a fair verdict. Seeing this, Wang Xiancao's eyes narrowed and she softened her tone to try to shake Jiang Tian's determination. Jiang Tian was actually protecting the Yanhuang tribe. These defenses were as heavy as mountains and they couldn't break through at all. Next was a tough battle that was extremely dangerous and they didn't have the confidence to win. But Jiang Tian snorted and didn't waste any time. He directly swept out the gung metal chi soldier. Now, Jiang Tian's immortal body had formed a false core and could kill nascent soul realm cultivators. The gung metal sword radiance swept out and the terrifying gung metal chi soldier stacked and spread out like a fan. It covered a few miles and destroyed everything. Endless sword radiance gushed out from Wang Xiancao's Dantian and turned into a sword chi dragon that was 1,000 meters long and rushed towards the gung metal sword radiance. The other golden core true immortals also released their dharma characteristics and didn't hesitate to burn their blood essence in order to end the battle quickly. Immediately, the fire dragon rushed into the sky, the nine-tailed demon fox swung its tail, Buddha palms filled the sky, and great waves surged, sweeping across the sky. These Dharma characteristics were all over 1,000 feet tall, covering the sky and the sun, as if they could tear the heavens apart. Bang! The gung metal sword radiance collided with them. Dozens of golden core overlords attacked at the same time. The attack of a perfected golden core overlord was like a small nuclear weapon. The collision was like a dozen nuclear weapons exploding at the same time, with the power to destroy cities and countries. In the sky, a large area of space was annihilated. It was dark and gloomy. Then, a terrifying wave pushed out in all directions. Huge mushroom clouds rose, and the earth shook. Countless buildings in Maolin City within a radius of dozens of miles collapsed. Huge gullies appeared on the ground. If not for the fact that Jiang Tian had unleashed his strongest divine body of the winged dragon to form a protective shield, millions of people would have died on the spot. But even so, many of the Yen Huang tribe members felt as though they were falling leaves in the wind. They could not even stand properly. More than a dozen mid-stage golden core overlords spat out blood. They were severely injured again. 6 late-stage golden core overlords were thrown a few kilometers away. It hurt so much. Wang Xiancao's countless golden core sword chi were shattered. Half of his shoulder was sliced off by the sword radiance. So strong. Bai Huer was moved and shivered. The 9-tailed demon fox dharma characteristics' 3 tails were chopped off. When it was formed again, it was smaller and weaker. Evil. Xiao Qinghe, who was thrown a kilometer away, was shocked. Her watery eyes revealed a strong sense of fear. Fire Beacon City was a little better. He used the Red Lotus Hellfire to melt the gung metal sword radiance. But he was also thrown a few hundred meters away. His blood was boiling, and the flames on his body were flickering. But Jiang Tian did not move. He was calm and his long robe was not stained with dust. Clearly, he was still holding back. Just one gung metal sword radiance had forced more than 30 golden core perfected immortals to retreat. If this news were to spread, it would definitely shock the world. Fire Beacon City, your Red Lotus Hellfire seems to be able to restrain his gung metal aura. Chun Gang said with a stern expression. I'll kill him. Everyone, support me. Fire Beacon City's face was filled with killing intent, but there was a hint of joy in his eyes. In his dantian, the Red Lotus Hellfire exploded. If he could kill Jiang Tian, his name would definitely shake the upper echelons of West Earth. He would ascend to heaven and be able to stand side by side with the Arhat in the future. His Red Lotus Hellfire was many times stronger than the one he used to challenge Jiang Tian's elite disciples on the Golden Lotus platform. Once the Red Lotus Hellfire appeared, it was like giant red flowers blooming in the air. Each flower was 100 meters wide and there were more than a dozen of them. Each of the flames had an extremely high temperature. They could melt metal, melt the earth, and even malfunction spiritual treasures. Just when everyone was nodding slightly, thinking that Jiang Tian had met his nemesis this time, playing with fire in front of me, you're simply courting death. Jiang Tian sneered in disdain. In his dantian, there was a roar as the vermilion bird rushed out and spewed out flames. The vermilion bird was originally the god of the south. It could spew out endless true fire of light and was famous in the universe. As soon as it appeared, endless light bloomed. The vermilion bird true fire, which was far more powerful than the sun true fire and heaven true fire, spewed out. A dragon-like true fire of 10 miles long spewed out from its mouth and pierced through the sky. It was terrifying to the extreme. These primordial fires were incomparably hot. As they streaked across the sky, even space itself was burned into oblivion. Terrifying, gigantic cracks appeared in space as the primordial fires swept through in a frenzy, directly burning the Nanman Kingdom's King Luo Ling, the Sirius sect leader Zhan Xiong, and the Qixia Kingdom's imperial advisor Venerable Qixia into ashes. Not even a drop of ash remained. Terrifying. 3 late Golden Core Realm experts. Everyone exclaimed. Burn for me, raging fire burn the city. Huofeng Lian roared. The red lotus hellfire became even faster and rushed towards the vermilion bird true fire. He wanted to use fire to counter fire. Boom! The two types of flames violently clashed together and let out an earth-shattering sound. However, the red lotus hellfire, which was originally unparalleled in this world, was instantly annihilated. It was completely engulfed, swallowed, and controlled by the vermilion bird true fire, becoming a part of it. The vermilion bird true fire swept out with an even more terrifying power. How is this possible? In his shocked eyes, the red flame became bigger and bigger. Huofeng Lian was shocked and desperate. His red lotus hellfire was a terrifying existence on the earth attribute mysterious fire ranking. In this world, it could be said that it was unstoppable and unbeatable. He never thought that his red lotus hellfire would be easily suppressed and swallowed by the opponent. He was so shocked that he even forgot to dodge. In other words, it was too late to dodge. He only saw the vermilion bird true fire continue to snake out like a dragon baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. In the blink of an eye, Huofeng Lian was engulfed and burned to the point of exploding. He originally had the 9 red lotus hellfire protecting his body. It was impenetrable and repelled all evil. Even when the gunmetal chi weapon was unleashed, it couldn't cut through the 9 red lotus hellfire. But now, these 9 red lotus hellfire were like wax in front of the vermilion bird true fire. One touch and they would ignite, increasing the power of the vermilion bird true fire. His many defensive treasures, divine abilities, and powerful body were all useless. They were directly burned into green smoke. Even his golden core was devoured by the vermilion bird true fire, leaving not a single trace behind. The fire worship sect's disciple, the future sect master, a golden core realm expert, Huofeng Liancheng, had fallen. A golden core realm expert and a middle-grade golden core realm expert had fallen just like that. The fiercest general of the Zhenshan country, Fan Zhongshan, was so scared that he retreated with trembling legs. Huofeng Liancheng, a golden core realm expert, a 5th-grade golden core, and a disciple of a peerless sect. His cultivation method was even stronger than Ming Rui. Their strength should be on par, but he couldn't even block Jiang Tian's attack. This was too frightening. They couldn't accept this reality. The information was wrong. This guy is evil. We might not be his match. Retreat quickly. Golden Rock Temple's Art, please help. Wang Xianchao was the first to react. Stepping on the heavenly sword, the sword dragon wrapped around his body to protect him. He turned into a long rainbow and fled into the distance. Huofeng Liancheng was the strongest existence among them. His battle strength was far superior to everyone else. Now that he was dead, no one dared to fight. If they continued to fight, they would only be giving their heads away. The others seemed to have woken up from a dream. They all unleashed their escape techniques and fled in all directions. But how could Jiang Tian let them escape? Boom! Jiang Tian stepped into the void. Instantly, the thick earth-winged dragon erupted. Rolling yellow sand filled the air and covered the sky, creating a terrifying sandstorm that enveloped the entire city. This yellow sand was not ordinary yellow sand, but galaxy crystal sand. Every grain of crystal sand could turn into a giant stone with a radius of dozens of meters. Billions of galaxy crystal sand gathered together could crush a nascent soul realm expert and pierce through a continent. This wind was also not ordinary wind. It was a terrifying cosmic wind that could erase the magical power of spirit treasures. What is this? Wang Xiancao's eyes were filled with horror. He suddenly felt that his steps were extremely heavy. Every gust of wind made him suffocate, suppressing his bones to the point that they were about to shatter. Moreover, his vast divine sense couldn't penetrate the sandstorm. He could only see a few meters of space. He wanted to send a message, but it was blown away by the astral wind when it could only travel 3 meters. Evil. He had been separated from the others and was anxious. Suddenly, a grain of yellow sand hit his sword. Immediately, a small hole appeared on the sword. Then, the entire sword cracked and fell to the ground. Danger! He exclaimed in his heart and cast a secret technique. Numerous swords clanged and formed a huge sword ball, protecting him in the middle. This brat can actually refine a sword ball? Jiang Tian's divine sense swept over this scene, and also revealed a somewhat interesting expression. Sword balls were a method of refining weapons. Sword experts could refine swords to the size of embroidery needles. The thinner tip of the sword pointed inwards while the wider body pointed outwards. They were all pointed towards the center of the ball. When they were arranged in an orderly manner, a sword ball would be formed. In the central galaxy deep in the universe, some sword cultivator experts from the immortal sacred grounds could refine countless swords into a sword ball the size of an egg. Its weight was comparable to a mountainous city. Without using any sword moves, the sword ball could smash someone to death. Although Wang Xiancao's sword pellet was crude and large in size, it already had some charm to it. Just as Wang Xianchao stepped into the sword ball, the sandstorm had already arrived. In an instant, densely packed small holes appeared on the sword ball. This sword pellet was made up of 1,000 swords and weighed 10 tons, but it was still sent flying like a ping-pong ball after being hit by the galactic crystal sand. It bounced back and forth in Maolin City at a terrifying speed. In just a moment, the sword ball exploded and the swords shattered like paper. Countless galaxy crystal sands smashed towards Wang Xianchao. Wang Xianchao fell to the ground with blood gushing out. He was already dead. Wang Xianchao, the master of the Sword Palace, who had completed the Golden Core Realm, had fallen. Chapter 1164. At the moment of his death, Wang Xiancao's face was filled with shock and fear. He could not believe that the sword pill he had carefully refined would be broken by the yellow sand. He could not believe that he would die under the yellow sand. Chun Gang, the president of the Discipline Hall, and Bai Hua rushed out together. Supernatural powers were unleashed. Suddenly, a cloud of sand attacked. Monk Chun Gang's expression changed slightly. With a snap of his fingers, a golden light with lightning burst out and knocked a grain of crystal sand away. It's so heavy. A grain of sand is as heavy as 10,000 kilograms. Could it be a spiritual treasure-level Dharma artifact? Hold your breath and pause. Chun Gang immediately saw the clue. His expression changed drastically as he transmitted a message to Bai Hua behind him. If it was a spiritual treasure, it could expand at any time. If it was inhaled into the nose, throat, or lungs, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, I have an indestructible Vajra body. My body is strong. How can a mere spiritual treasure do anything to me? A trace of contempt flashed in his eyes. His whole body was shining with dazzling golden light as if it was cast by golden water. His body was surrounded by a dazzling Buddhist light that formed the 5 thunder sky raising bell to protect him. He was struggling to move forward. Yellow sand flew over and swept across the sky. Chun Gang's hands moved up and down, and various Buddhist supernatural powers were unleashed. He blocked the flying sand, but his arms were still numb and his fingers were in great pain. A grain of star sand was knocked away by him, but it suddenly flew back and kept expanding like a falling meteorite. Bang! Chun Gang struck with his palm, but he was knocked away. His palm was cracked and his flesh was badly mangled. Even his jade-like finger bones were clearly visible. After expanding, its weight and strength have increased by 10 or even 100 times. Its density seems to be much higher than that of ordinary mountain rocks. Chun Gang was shocked. But before he could react, he saw the yellow sand around him expanding rapidly. The smallest one had a radius of more than 10 acres, and some were more than 1,000 meters tall. Chun Gang was in a daze, as if he had fallen into a mess of meteorites. There were countless of them, and they were filled with murderous intent. They were extremely terrifying, flying in the sky and crashing toward him. Chun Gangji only had time to let out a miserable shriek before he was instantly crushed by the expanding Star River crystal sand. His prayer beads, alms bowl, and his protective divine power, the 5 thunder heaven-raising bell, exploded almost instantly. His golden core barely held on, but it was also crushed into pieces. In the end, even his divine soul was destroyed. Taichu Sect Master, please spare my life. I'm willing to submit and serve you for the rest of my life. I'll make your bed and warm your feet. Seeing the golden blood sprinkling on the ground, Baihui was so scared that her face turned pale. Her knees gave way and she knelt on the ground. Regardless of whether Jiang Tian could see her or not, she kept kowtowing in the direction where Jiang Tian had been standing. Compared to him, people like Bing Bing and Little Jade from the Earth realm were like chickens meeting phoenixes, or foxtail flowers meeting peonies. Taichu Sect Master, I was only bewitched by the Bodhisattva. I know my mistake now and won't dare to offend you again. However, Jiang Tian did not reply at all. He was too lazy to mock people for coveting his handsome face. After all, it was inevitable. However, the Star River crystal sand rolled over, and the huge stone was like a millstone, grinding away everything. Cultivator, if you dare to kill me, my master will kill you. Baihui only had time to stand up. She gritted her teeth and shouted angrily. A piece of Star River crystal sand came crashing down like a mountain. The Star River crystal sand fell heavily and sank dozens of meters into the ground. Baihui had completely disappeared from this world. Raindrops appeared around Shao Qinghe, the young master of the Tingyu Tower. They formed a dreary mist. These were not ordinary raindrops. Each raindrop was a sword of rain that floated around him and blocked all attacks. He moved quickly and flashed like smoke. When he finally reached the edge of the city wall, there was a hint of joy on his face. Suddenly, his expression changed drastically and he shouted, "Oh no!" His body was like an inflated toad or an inflated balloon, rapidly expanding before exploding with a loud bang. Blood splattered everywhere, along with broken bones, minced flesh, and pieces of internal organs, scattering all over the place. His rain sword veil was powerful, but the Star River crystal sand was even more pervasive. He accidentally inhaled a grain of Star River crystal sand. The Star River crystal sand expanded rapidly under Jiang Tian's control, bursting him. In a few breaths, Huofenqing, Shao Qinghe and Baihui, 3 overlords at the level of Zongzi and Zongzi, died. Many emperors, generals and peak-stage golden core cultivators of small and medium-sized sects were all crushed into powder. When the smoke disappeared, the many troops above the city who were about to attack again were all dumbfounded. Their scalps tingled and their hearts almost exploded. This scene was too shocking. Those 3 Daozi and Zongzi were all at the peak stage of the Golden Core realm with vast cultivation arts. They were going to control the large sects in the future, but they were all killed by Jiang Tian's Earth Dragon in an instant. The emperors, generals, sect masters and city lords were all Golden Core overlords. They could make the continent tremble with a stomp of their feet, but they were all killed by Jiang Tian with a snap of his fingers. The thick Earth Wing Dragon was too powerful. Just by releasing the Galaxy Crystal Sand, it killed these experts with a lift of its hand. How is this possible? When the dust settled, Prince Mo Yang, who was about to sneak up on Mao Hongdai, saw the dead people and quickly retreated in fear. He was so shocked that his heart almost jumped out of his throat. The scene in front of them was completely different from what they had imagined. They thought the army of Zongzi and sect masters would crush Jiang Tian like an ant. Unexpectedly, Jiang Tian erupted with extremely strong battle prowess, and he turned the tables around and forcefully crushed his opponent, completely turning the situation around. Jiang Tian was too powerful. It seemed that he was even able to compete with the sect masters of the large sects, the Buddhas and the Buddha. Even if he succeeded in kidnapping Jiang Tian and could restrain him, Jiang Tian would probably kill him even if he had to go to the ends of the earth. No one could stop him. Even if he had the Arhat as his backer, he couldn't protect him. Not only Prince Mo Yang, the overlords of the northern region and the senior members of the Changshan sect were completely petrified. What kind of Dharma form is that? It's so powerful that it can suppress all bloodlines, divine souls and Dharma form divine powers. It seems to be a dragon that can control the elements of earth. Is it an ancient deity beast or a divine beast? I've never seen or heard of it before. There are no deity beasts or divine beasts in the northern region or the west continent. Emperor Xianbing sucked in a breath of cold air as if he had a toothache. He clicked his tongue in wonder. The senior members of the Changshan sect looked up at the sky and frowned. Suddenly, the white-bearded Grand Elder frowned and said, "Luomei, don't you think this dragon-shaped beast looks a little familiar?" Fairy Luomei hesitated and said, "I think I've seen something similar in the records of my sect, but I'm not sure. It's not that I'm not sure, I just can't believe it." The Supreme Elder's expression was agitated. His entire body trembled as he said in a trembling voice, "This is the legendary winged dragon, the most powerful mythical beast in the world. It has the power to turn land into rivers, move mountains and fill seas, and even swallow planets. I never thought that I, Whitebeard, would be able to see such a mythical beast in this day and age. I can die without regrets." It seems that his Dharma forms are all divine beasts and divine creatures. Xianshui Azure Dragon, Red Sparrow, Dancing Divine Tree. The more Fairy Luomei thought about it, the more excited she became. Her curvy body couldn't stop trembling, and her breathing became unstable. "Fairy Luomei, are those Dharma forms powerful? For example, what about the 8-division Sky Dragon Dharma form?" Mao Hongdai asked curiously. 8-division Sky Dragon? Fairy Luomei chuckled. There was an unprecedented look of contempt in her eyes, as if someone was comparing a diamond to a stone. She said with an unprecedented tone of respect, "The divine beast Dharma forms of the Taichu sect master have the power to swallow the world. Legend has it that in the depths of the universe, each of them can swallow the sun, sweep across a galaxy and suppress thousands of worlds. Besides, the Taichu sect master has 5 Dharma forms. The 8-division Sky Dragon Dharma form of the Golden Rock Temple is indeed powerful, but it can't even transcend this world. How can it be compared? 10,000 8-division Sky Dragon Dharma forms can't compare to a red sparrow and a winged dragon." Once that was said, everyone's faces were filled with shock and horror. Mao Hongdai, Mao Bilian, Luo Qi and the others were in a daze. Every generation of Golden Rock Temple's Tathagata possessed the Dharma form of the 8 divisions Heavenly Dragon. With this Dharma form, they could suppress West Earth for thousands of years, suppressing longevity and the other 4 great feat to the point that they didn't dare to raise their heads. How powerful was Jiang Tian, who had many Dharma forms more powerful than 10,000 8-division Sky Dragon Dharma forms? It wouldn't be as simple as dominating West Earth. Sigh. We were really blind back then. Luo Qi was full of regret. She sighed and mumbled, "Kong Teichu, don't be arrogant. The army of West Earth won't forgive you. The Arhat won't forgive you and neither will the Taichu. Continue attacking." In the sky above and outside the city, many cultivators in the army roared in anger. This time, more than 30 Golden Core overlords had died. Apart from the 3 Zongzi, there were many kings, city lords and sect masters. It was a heavy loss. This was unacceptable to them. Chapter 1165. Do you really think that I, Kong Teichu, will let you go? Boom. When the Earth Dragon burst out, an army of 100,000 cultivators was instantly crushed by the chi of the yellow Earth. Countless galaxy crystal grains went on a rampage, destroying the world like a nuclear explosion. The army of 100,000 cultivators immediately turned into a pool of blood. Broken limbs, organs and bones fell like rain. Even the area they were in had been smashed into a huge crater that was 5 kilometers wide by the galaxy crystal sand. With just one strike, the army of 100,000 cultivators had been annihilated. The strength of the thick earth winged dragon physique was too terrifying. It contained the Star River crystal sand and the primal chaos source stone cauldron. The primordial aura it exuded was equivalent to 10,000 mountains pressing down together. With over 100 million tons of weight, it could break through 10,000 arts with a single force. No treasures or abilities would be able to withstand it. Run! At this moment, the leaders of the demon-slaying army were so scared that their hearts almost exploded. The same thought appeared in their minds at the same time. 1,000,000 cultivators sounded powerful, but Jiang Tian had killed 100,000 cultivators. After 10 kills, the entire army would be annihilated. It was a total defeat. Swish, swish, swish. Many cultivators in the remaining 8 military formations immediately scattered in all directions. They were like mosquitoes that filled the sky, densely packed as they fled into the distance. Most of them were Qi refinement cultivators. Only the leaders were Golden Core or Foundation establishment cultivators. Even though the Foundation establishment overlords were as fast as the speed of sound, they couldn't escape from Jiang Tian's pursuit. Didn't you want to kill me? Didn't you want to protect the righteous path? Why are you running? Jiang Tian sneered. His dantian rumbled and the Xinshui Azure Dragon rushed out towards the north of the city. Surging dark water surged into the sky, and it was like a world-destroying flood that covered the heavens and the earth as it descended. Instantly, an area of a few tens of kilometers in the northern part of the city was transformed into an expanse of water. Many Qi refinement cultivators and Foundation establishment cultivators screamed and were crushed to pieces. The black water was extremely heavy and the waves spun like a tornado, crushing everything. In a blink, a few Golden Core overlords leading the army were smashed into pieces. Crunch, crunch. The taste of a Golden Core is pretty good. The green dragon swam in the black water and reached out with its claws. It swallowed the golden elixir along with its corporeal body and chewed it like candy. Many people were scared out of their wits when they saw this scene. Crown Prince Mo Yang and the Mo Luo Emperor had evil intentions in their hearts. They were so scared that they shivered. They wished they could fly away immediately. Tens of thousands of people were killed with a single strike. Golden Core cultivators fell like rain and were swallowed alive. The Golden Core was known as an immortal and indestructible existence. It was incomparably balanced, and even a numinous treasure would not be able to easily split it open. For most Golden Cores, even if their physical bodies were destroyed, their Golden Cores would not be destroyed. They could completely rebuild their physical bodies. This was another aspect of the Aura's core that far surpassed the Foundation establishment stage, other than the power of the Dharma form. But then, those Golden Cores were crushed by Jiang Tian's divine body and Dharma form. How could they not be frightened? This time, I'm afraid the Mo royal family is going to be destroyed. Princess Yu Jiao's face turned pale and she sighed regretfully. The royal family of the Yunlan kingdom had already sent out an army of cultivators to help the Buddha Lord suppress Jiang Tian. They were already on the opposite side of Jiang Tian and were his mortal enemies. They were opening the way for him. Kong Teichu, who was so fierce, would not forgive them for not reporting their crimes. At the same time, the other statues of Jiang Tian also exploded. The light vermilion bird started a fire and headed south. It was as if there were giant suns erupting on the ground. In an instant, 200,000 cultivators were killed. Even the golden cores of a few Golden Core cultivators were burned to ashes. The green trees swayed to the east. Their roots were about 100 meters long and they were like treemen. They strode forward quickly and quickly caught up with the army of cultivators. The branches were emerald green and boundless, extending for hundreds of miles. As soon as they passed through, the branches became a meat skewer. The branches formed a giant fist with a radius of 100 meters and 1,000 meters. Instantly, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Thousands of people died and a giant pit appeared on the ground. On the other hand, Gingjin Divine General was sprinting towards the west. With a sweep of his saber, a fan of qi that was a few miles long spread out. Mountains crumbled, giant trees were chopped down like weeds, and blood flowed like rivers. Corpses fell one after another. About 10 minutes later, the screams and sounds of killing disappeared. Everything became quiet. Many divine bodies flashed and retreated into Jiang Tian's dantian like tired birds returning to the forest. Everyone rose into the air and was shocked to see. The area around Maolin City was covered in corpses and blood, like a sea of blood. Under the light of the blood-red sun, there were piles of corpses, broken limbs, broken Dharma artifacts, weapons, chariots, flying boats, cloud towers. There were corpses everywhere. In the sky, thick blood qi danced and formed giant red clouds, enveloping the sky as if it were azure hell. In the sunken areas, blood formed rivers, ponds and lakes. Countless corpses floated on them. None of the 1 million cultivators escaped. They all died. And their deaths were extremely miserable. Their intestines were pierced and their heads were chopped off. Those were the light injuries. Most of them were directly ground into meat paste and burned into ashes. They died without a complete corpse. Many of the dead people still had the expression of the moment before they died. Shock, fear, panic, pain, and despair. They came in high spirits and didn't think that killing Jiang Tian was a difficult task. It was more like a show of strength to crush him. But they didn't expect such a tragic ending. 3 Zongzi, 1 president of the Commandment Hall of Golden Rock Temple, and 1 million cultivators in the army. None of them survived. In the crowd, Crown Prince Jihan murmured with a dull look and his teeth chattered. Even Fairy Luo Mei's face turned pale and her heart palpitated. We're really lucky to have such a sect master. From now on, we'll rise to the top and even suppress Golden Rock Temple. The white-bearded Grand Elder and the other senior members of the Changshan sect were excited when they saw this. It was as if they had received a great support. If news of this were to spread out, even the Buddha nature Arhat would be shocked out of his wits. Even the Tathagata of the present age would be alarmed. Congratulations to the sect master of Taichu for defeating the strong enemy and evading evil. You'll be famous throughout the ages and conquer West Earth. You'll achieve immortality. Emperor Mo Luo brought Crown Prince Mo Yang and Princess Yujiao forward with flattering expressions. They bowed and kowtowed. It's good that you can say nice things, but it can't cover your sins. I'll destroy the royal family of the Mo family. Sect master of Taichu, no. Give us a chance. We already know that we're wrong. Mo Luo's heart skipped a beat. His back was drenched in cold sweat. Then he shivered and begged with a pale face. The royal family of the Mo family was threatened by the Arhat. We had no choice. Otherwise, the Mo family would be destroyed. We admire the sect master of Taichu very much. We don't want to betray you at all. Crown Prince Mo Yang had a glib tongue and pushed all the responsibility away. His face was full of flattery. If he had a tail on his butt, he would look like a pug. Mao Hongdai believed that if Jiang Tian stretched out his foot, he would definitely lick Jiang Tian's foot without hesitation. What's the use of begging now? What were you doing earlier? I tried to persuade you, but you didn't care about the sect master of Taichu at all. You're so stubborn. Only Princess Yujiao smiled bitterly. She looked at her father and brother with despair in her eyes. If Jiang Taichu wasn't a ruthless and merciless person, if he wasn't a decisive person who kept his word, how could he have dominated the 3 dimensions and become an exalted overlord? Unfortunately, her father was blinded by greed and didn't know that. You have a chance to choose. I've given you too many chances. Jiang Tian's face flashed with a hint of mockery. He smiled coldly and said, You could have told me the truth when you came to the ceremony today. But you didn't. Deep down, you still think that I, Kong Taichu, am easy to bully and will lose. Or you want me to die. Crown Prince Mo Yang, do you think I'm blind? When I was fighting with them, you wanted to kidnap Mao Hongdai and force me to submit. Bitch! Mao Hongdai suddenly remembered this detail. Her eyes were filled with anger and hatred. Before this, you were afraid that my master would attack you, so you sent Princess Yujiao to beg for mercy. I was the one who pleaded for your family, so you kept your worthless lives. I didn't expect you to sneak attack me. Sect master of Taichu, I didn't. Mo Yang argued. Are you going to kill me just because I got close to Mao Hongdai? I only wanted to help her stop the enemy. You're so unfair and suspicious. How can you convince the others? How can you become the Lord of the North? I won't accept this. Jiang Tian didn't argue. He just looked at him with a cold smile. Slap. Suddenly, Jiang Tian flicked his finger. A ray of golden light shot out and pierced the lower abdomen of an elder from the House of Extraordinary Warriors. He screamed in pain. His wig fell, revealing a bald head full of scars. His mask was also shattered by Jiang Tian's golden light, revealing his true face. Master Kong Ming of Golden Rock Temple. He's Buddha's most trusted senior brother. Everyone recognized him. Kongming was Buddha's most trusted senior brother. He was with Mo Yang, so it was obvious what it meant. Everyone shook their heads. Crown Prince Mo Yang and his family were evil and stupid. The sect master of Taichu had promised them that he wouldn't attack them, but they still came to seek death. They were so stupid. Mao Hongdai had pleaded for them, but they still wanted to kill them. They were so evil. Now, what do you have to say? Jiang Tian asked. Crown Prince Mo Yang was tongue-tied. He couldn't say anything and just kept trembling. Suddenly, he knew that he was going to die, so he decided to give it a try. He jumped up and shouted hysterically. Kongtu, you better be smart and don't kill me. I'm Buddha's disciple. If you kill me, he won't let you go. You are definitely not a match for the Buddha Nature Arhat. When the time comes and you are defeated by the Buddha Nature Arhat, I can still plead for you. Chapter 1166. Jiang Tian narrowed his eyes and said coldly, "Oh, pleading for me? I don't think I need it." Jiang Tian's face was full of mockery, as though he was looking at a fool. "I can kill a bodhisattva with a wave of my hand. Besides, you're just a prospective disciple that bodhisattva has yet to accept." He raised his hand and slapped down casually. Rumble. The power of the palm strike was enough to destroy the heavens and earth. The Mo Luo Emperor, Prince Mo Yang, Princess Yu Jiao, Mo Ya, and the other experts of the House of Extraordinary Warriors, a total of 12 people, all exploded, and even their golden cores were shattered. This, Princess Yu Jiao. Mao Hongdai was so shocked that her body trembled. She probably felt that Princess Yu Jiao had no enmity towards Jiang Tian, and her death was a little unjust. In order to protect the Mo royal family, Princess Yu Jiao had been very close to Mao Hongdai these days. The little girl was not that mature, and it was normal for her to feel pity. I don't care what her motives are or what she thinks. I only look at the result. She didn't report it in advance, which means she's standing against me. Jiang Tian said slowly. Do you know how many people from the Yan Huang tribe and Lush Forest City would have died if Master's cultivation level was not so strong and the enemy attacked with such ferocity? You and your family would have died too. Her death is not worth regretting. Yes, I understand. Mao Hongdia's face was a little stern. She understood and quickly bowed. Taichu sect leader, are you not going to kill me? Master Kongming clutched his chest, his face pained as he asked in surprise. If I were to kill you, it would be as easy as killing a chicken. Jiang Tian said mockingly. I'm keeping you alive because I want you to go to Golden Rock Temple first and tell Bodhisattva that I'm going to kill him. You. Kongming's face froze, full of humiliation. He stared at Jiang Tian, his clenched fist trembling. After all, Kongming was a late-stage golden elixir cultivator. His strength ranked in the top 20 in Golden Rock Temple, and he was well known throughout the entire West Earth. Even the sect leader or the emperor had to be respectful to him. But now Jiang Tian said that killing him would be as easy as killing a chicken. This was the ultimate humiliation, a merciless slap to the face. At this moment, he wished he could chop Jiang Tian into pieces. However, he suddenly calmed down. Yes, although Jiang Tian's words were unpleasant to hear, they weren't exaggerated at all. Chun Gang, the president of the Commandment Hall, 3 Zongzis, and more than 30 gold core cultivators were all killed by Jiang Tian with a snap of his fingers. Wasn't it just as easy to kill him? It was a piece of cake. Good. The Taichu sect master is so impressive. I will definitely bring these words to the Buddha Nature Arhat. At the thought of this, Kongming let out a bitter laugh and soared into the sky. He turned into a golden rainbow and flew toward Golden Rock Temple. Whitebeard and Fan Luomei were shocked. Wasn't this the same as letting the tiger return to the mountain? Wouldn't letting someone send a message be a way for the Buddha Nature Arhat to be prepared? However, Jiang Tian was already a supreme existence in their hearts. Although they felt that it was inappropriate, they did not say anything. Gentlemen of Skylight. Jiang Tian's eyes suddenly landed on Mu Yang and the other generals of Tianling, his voice cold. He said coldly, You've surrendered to the Buddha Nature Arhat of the Golden Rock Temple and become my enemy. Their crimes are punishable by the extermination of their entire clan. Not even a chicken or dog will be spared. Why do we need the sect master to deal with these ants? Me. Fairy Luo Mei's gaze was as cold as a sword. She sneered and unleashed her divine ability. Blood rained down like rain. Mu Yang and the others from Tianling didn't even have the time to scream before they fell to the ground, dead. Thump thump. Please forgive us, sect master of Taichu. We're sorry. They watched as Jiang Tian was about to kill the crown princes and emperors of 2 countries. Black Ice, Arctic Frost, the other monarch of the Tenzhou nation, as well as many faction masters, city lords, and generals, were so scared that their hearts almost exploded. They knelt down, trembling. Beads of cold sweat rolled down their backs like streams. Even Luo Qi and the other female cultivators burst into tears and lost control of their bodies. They even peed on the spot. Jiang Tian had killed millions of soldiers. He was not a human being. He was as powerful as a god and as terrifying as a demon. Who could withstand his anger? Everyone, am I that scary? The people I killed were all sinners, so why are you all so panicked? Get up, get up. Jiang Tian smiled warmly, revealing his white teeth. Jihan Han felt relieved and stood up slowly as if he had just survived a disaster. Jiang Tian looked at him and smiled. Jihan, you've offended me many times before, but I, Kong Taichu, am a kind person. I don't want to argue with an ant like you. You know you've offended heaven and you're extremely uneasy. You've asked Mao Hongdai to tell you that as long as I don't kill you, you'll be loyal to me. But where were you when the enemy invaded? You didn't do anything and were discussing whether to surrender to the Buddha nature Arhat. Do you think I didn't hear your immortal will? Do you think I'm a fool? Please show mercy and spare our lives, Taichu sect master. We won't do this again in the future. After all, we didn't really surrender. Jihan Han and Xianbing's hearts skipped a beat. They immediately knelt on the ground and kowtowed. If you really wanted to surrender, you'd be dead. Jiang Tian smiled. I'm very merciful. I won't kill you, but you'll have to suffer. You'll be stripped of your throne and private property, crippled of your cultivation and meridians, and your people will be slaves for the rest of their lives. That's your punishment. This is what you deserve. Fairy Luo Mei had completely become Jiang Tian's executioner. As soon as she finished speaking, she immediately stepped forward and attacked mercilessly. Their sea of qi shattered, their golden cores cracked, their meridians broken and their cultivation lost. You've received my protection, so you should be loyal to me forever. You can't betray me. Otherwise, you'll die. Of course, if you don't like it, you can choose not to live in my territory. The world is vast and you can go anywhere you want. I won't stop you. Jiang Tian glanced at everyone coldly and asked in a cold voice. But you want my protection and you want me to kill the enemy to protect you. Why did you betray me? Do you think the protection of Kong Taichu is so cheap? Do you think I, Kong Taichu, am easy to bully? At this moment, many people who had knelt before the Demon Slayer army were trembling uneasily. Jiang Tian was too domineering. He killed the emperor, the crown prince, and the princess without hesitation. He was ruthless to the extreme. When they saw Jiang Tian's fury and realized that they were about to die, they didn't have the slightest intention to resist. There was only deep fear and coldness in their hearts. Taichu sect master, I was too scared just now. That's why I knelt and begged for mercy. I didn't mean to betray you. Luo Qi knelt on the ground, trembling. She had a flattering smile on her face and kept wagging her tail. Since we've known each other for a long time, please spare me. She was the first to kneel and beg for mercy in front of the Demon Slayer army. She was terrified and forced to smile. It was uglier than crying. Jiang Tian didn't even look at Luo Qi. He only flicked his finger. Bang! Luo Qi's head exploded, and a rain of sparkling and translucent flesh rained down. Her curvaceous and exquisite body fell to the ground, splashing out streaks of scarlet blood. Luo Qi's face was full of regret even before she died. Originally, she had been very active in organizing the sect master's coronation ceremony. She was close to Jiang Tian and had seen the dawn of victory. However, because of a wrong decision, she lost everything that she had worked so hard to build. Everyone was so scared that they trembled. Many of them cried. Jiang Tian flicked the non-existent dust off his fingers, stood there lazily with his hands behind his back, and said indifferently, "What's the matter? However, since it's your first offense, I'll only kill one person. Remember my rules. If you do it again, I'll kill all of you." At this moment, the entire place was silent. Dead silence. Everyone was deeply shocked by Jiang Tian. He had swept through millions of troops with great strength. He had purged the internal traitors. He had seen everything clearly. Wanting to pretend to be a two-faced person in front of Jiang Tian and take advantage of Jiang Tian, that was simply a fool's dream. Amidst this silence, Jiang Tian slowly paced around and announced unhurriedly, "That's right. From now on, Mao Bohu is the emperor of the Cloud Mist Nation. Skylight Nation is ruled by the Yen Huang tribe. Extreme Ice Nation is ruled by Fairy Luo Mei and the Fan family." As soon as he said that, Extreme Frost and Black Ice looked desperate. Everyone else was filled with fear and sorrow. This kind of punishment was even worse than killing them. What they valued the most was imperial power. They could sit on worldly power and enjoy endless wealth and glory. Meanwhile, Jiang Tian demoted them to slaves and commoners. Moreover, there would be special supervision. It was simply impossible for them to make a comeback for the rest of their lives. Their lives depended on their cultivation. Arctic Frost was most proud of his talent and cultivation. However, Jiang Tian had crippled their cultivation and meridians. For the rest of their lives, they could only be trampled on like ants. This punishment was heart-wrenching. But the mistake had been made, and there was no turning back. They could not blame Jiang Tian for being ruthless. They could only blame themselves for being two-faced and not having strong wills. After all, Jiang Tian had given them a chance, but they had not taken it. Those like Mao Bohu, the Fan family, and the Yen Huang tribe were determined. They had risen to the top in a single bound, gaining status and resources that they had never had before. Jiang Tian's thunderous methods and clear punishments made them realize that Jiang Tian's authority was deep. His eyes were like torches, and he was not to be trifled with. Fear and respect rose in the hearts of the crowd. The sect leader is fair in his rewards and punishments. We are all in awe. The Taichu sect leader is a man of great talent and vision. The Changshan sect will definitely rise to the top and achieve everlasting merits. Countless people bowed to Jiang Tian, their faces stern and respectful. The upper echelons of the Changshan sect were all in awe. This was the way it should be. If not, there would always be two-faced people like Mo Yang and Prince Muyang. If not, there would be people like Arctic Frost Crown Prince. If not, how could the experts of the mortal countries be convinced? Mao Billion was delighted. She could not suppress the smug smile on her face. The Fan family would control the entire Ice Pole nation in the future. Fan Xiuzhu would be the emperor, and she would be the empress. Moreover, the Mao family would also control the Yunlan nation, and she would be the princess of the Yunlan nation. Double happiness. She had risen to the top. This was a blessing that she had not even dared to imagine. She was overjoyed. But then she heard Jiang Tian's cold voice. "Mao Billion, you have offended me many times before. I did not take it to heart, but you did not cherish it. The enemy is right in front of you, but you have confused the morale of the army, trying to instigate Fan Xiuzhu to defect. Is this appropriate?" Hearing this, Mao Billion's heart skipped a beat, and her heart fell into the abyss. She trembled as she knelt down. "Taichu sect leader, please forgive me." Chapter 1167. Hearing that, Mao Bohu was shocked as if he had been struck by lightning. He quickly knelt down and said firmly, "Taichu sect master, this woman doesn't change and has no sense of the big picture. She has offended you many times. I will cut off all ties with her and punish her severely. She will be banished to the cold palace and be a servant for life." An emperor had to be extremely rational. After offending Jiang Tian, he would lose everything he had just obtained and even his family would be wiped out. leaving someone like Mao Bilian, who had a weak heart and an unwise mind, in the core of the family would only lead the family astray in the future. Dad, how can you do this? Mao Bilian begged with tears in her eyes. However, Mao Bohu's face was cold and he didn't even look at her. He was extremely disappointed in his daughter. This woman is extremely stupid and weak. She became a traitor after a little pressure and offended the Taichu sect master again and again. Fairy Luo Mei's face turned cold and she said with a hint of disdain. How can she take on such great responsibilities in the future and become the mother of that country? She doesn't deserve to be Fan Xiuju's wife. This marriage is also annulled. That's how it should be. Mao Bohu nodded. Fan Xiuju didn't have any objections. He looked at Mao Bilian in disgust and said, I have no objections either. Xiuju, how can you leave me alone? Help me beg Taichu for mercy. Beg for mercy? Mao Bilian's heart felt like it was being stabbed. She hugged Fan Xiuju's legs and cried. Are all the men in the world so heartless? Could it be that I misjudged you? If you really love me, you're willing to stand by my side and fight against the world. Such an ending was no different from falling from heaven to hell for Mao Bilian. She was supposed to be the princess and queen of a country. She would be respected by everyone in the polar snow and cloud mist countries. Such status and power were rare even in the entire West Earth, let alone in the North. However, because of what Jiang Tian said, she was deprived of everything. She was stripped of everything. A happy marriage, supreme authority, endless glory and wealth. She was even banished to the cold palace as a slave. It was like being stepped onto hell and then 10,000 more feet. Scram. Fan Xiu kicked her in the chest with his bamboo, and Mao Bilian fell to the ground on her back. You dare to hit me, you scum. Mao Bilian was stunned. She didn't expect to be beaten up by her fiancé. She felt wrong to the extreme. Fan Xiuzhu was so angry that he was trembling all over. His face was ashen as he roared, What did you say just now? Don't tell me you've forgotten. You said that you want me to take action and kidnap Mao Hongdai and your father to surrender to Fire Beacon City and the Buddhist child. Using this to threaten the Taichu sect master. What? Mao Hongdai was so angry that tears rolled down her cheeks. She said coldly, Mao Bilian, it was you who was chosen as the saintess by the immortal dark sect. I replaced you in order to save your life and make you a disciple. How dare you treat me like this? But, sister, forgive me this once. Mao Bilian was speechless and could only sob. You can't see the monstrous strength of the Taichu sect master. You are not wise. Fan Xiuzhu bellowed. The Taichu sect master saved your family, but you repay his kindness with enmity. You want to harm him. You are unrighteous. You say that you want to serve the Taichu sect master, that you will die for him. But in the end, you want to betray the sect. You are not loyal. You don't care about the lives of the Yan Huang tribe and the millions of citizens of Maolin City. You want to use their lives to exchange for your own wealth. You are unrighteous. You actually want to make a move against me, your father, and your sister. Your heart is as vicious as a scorpion's. You're such a disloyal, unfilial, heartless, and unwise person, yet you still want me to be loyal to you? You even want me to stand by your side against the Taichu sect master. Has your brain been stepped on by an elephant? Mao Bohu's expression instantly became extremely gloomy, and a trace of shame flashed across his face as he questioned, Bilian, you actually want Xiuzhu to hold me and your sister hostage. You know, if he really did it, we'd probably die. Dad, I'm doing this for the good of the family. The army just came, and the Taichu sect master looked. Mao Bilian explained. Jiang Tian's face flashed with impatience. Fairy Luo Mei sensed it immediately. She coughed and said, Brother Bohu, this girl cannot be left alive. I understand. Mao Bohu's eyes were cold and merciless. He strode forward and grabbed Mao Bilian by the throat. Misfortune awaited those whose virtues did not match their position. If Mao Bilian was only the daughter of the city lord, her jealousy, viciousness, selfishness, and snobbishness would not be a big problem. But once she took control of a country, these shortcomings would be magnified tenfold, 100 times. She could even bring disaster to the hundreds of millions of people in the country. Father, give me a chance. Mao Bian's face was full of shock, fear, and pleading. She was sweating profusely. She had never thought that she would one day die at the hands of her own father. This was a great pain and suffering. I won't kill you, but I will shatter your divine soul and destroy your meridians so that you can't do evil anymore. Mao Bohu's eyes were filled with tears. He could not bear to kill his daughter. He slapped the top of her head with his right hand and then her sea of vital energy a few times. Mao Bian's 7 orifices were bleeding, and she fainted. When she opened her eyes again, there was no clarity in them. There was only dullness. Sigh, Mao Bohu is too soft-hearted. He doesn't have the ruthless mentality of an emperor. He can't be absolutely rational. Even his daughter doesn't care about his life. If it were another emperor, they would have cut him into pieces. But he still can't kill him. Jiang Tian was a little disappointed in him, but he was too lazy to say anything else. Just as everyone was about to crowd over and express their loyalty again, Jiang Tian had already stepped into the air and ascended to the sky. Taichu Sect Master, where are you going? The white-bearded Grand Supreme Elder was surprised. I'm going to attend the ceremony and kill the Arhat. I've always been a gentleman. It's too late to wait for revenge. Since the Arhat wants to kill me, I'll return the favor 100 times over. Jiang Tian laughed and flashed across the sky like a ray of white light, heading towards the Golden Rock Temple on Mount Lain in the central region. Only the senior members of the Changshan sect and the overlords of the North region were left behind. They looked at each other in shock. Sigh, the Arhat is a talented person, but he didn't expect the Taichu sect master to be so powerful. In the face of such absolute strength, all schemes and tricks are useless. The white-bearded Grand Supreme Elder sighed and shook his head. After today, the name Taichu Sect Master will shock the entire Westland. Everyone who hears it will be terrified. Fairy Luo Mei's eyes were filled with shock and fascination as she muttered to herself. When everyone heard this, their expressions changed slightly as they deeply agreed with him. Let's not talk about the result of Jiang Tian's visit to the Taichu banquet. He had killed 3 Zongzi, the first master of the Justice Hall, more than 30 Golden Core cultivators and an army of 1,000,000 cultivators. That was enough for him to become famous in the world and outshine the sect masters of the other 4 top sections. You're stirring up trouble again. Why don't you open the door of time and space and let me out first? Li Wuji stomped his feet and said. The central region was also known as the Grand Middle region in the West Earth world. Its land was vast, far surpassing that of the other 4 regions. It was filled with exotic flowers and herbs, spirit springs, and spirit mountains. The central region was like a surging dragon, and it was many times more prosperous than the North region. Mount Lain. This mountain was majestic and vast. Numerous mountain peaks stood in great numbers, surrounding and protecting the main peak. The mountain peaks here formed layers of stairs. At the bottom, there were 3,000 mountain peaks, forming a large circle. At the second layer, there were 999 mountain peaks. Above that, there were 99 mountain peaks. Above that, there were 9 mountain peaks. Each layer was higher than the one before, surrounding the main peak in the center, the Golden Peak. There were many temples on the mountains, worshipping giant Buddha statues. Some of the mountains were carved into giant Buddhas, some were built on the palms of Buddhas, and some were built in the heart. The highest golden peak of Mount Lain was already in the clouds. There were thunderbolts in the sky from time to time. Meanwhile, the Taichu banquet was being held in the Golden Rock Temple. The Taichu banquet is open and welcoming. Everyone can communicate with each other. The Golden Rock Temple will open the treasury and give to the world. On top of the Golden Peak, in a magnificent 10,000 Buddha hall, an eminent monk was preaching on the altar. Many sect masters and sect masters of the large sects stood in the hall with solemn faces. And in the plaza outside the Grand Hall, all the important figures of the West Earth had gathered. Dozens of countries and hundreds of giant cities had gathered. The various sect masters, patriarchs, sovereigns, and city lords of each region and 3 great realms had all gathered. There were many golden core cultivators and overlords there. They were several times more powerful than the Demon Slayer army that attacked Maolin City. The entire West Earth would shake and the sky would tremble when they stomped their feet. They were all powerful and had high positions. They were too extraordinary. This is unprecedented. Senior Brother Lung, why are there so many more people in this Taichu banquet? There are 5 million people in the mortal world and tens of thousands in the cultivation world. Even some old living fossils that haven't been seen for hundreds of years have come out. A young sword cultivator looked at Lung Jianfeng, who was leading the group, and asked with his divine sense, "What's the matter?" His name was Zhang Wen. He was only in his 30s and was already at the early stage of foundation establishment. He was an elite disciple of the Sword Palace and was quite talented. However, he didn't stand out among the tens of thousands of guests present. He didn't even have the right to enter the 10,000 Buddha Hall. It said that Tathagata is likely to step down and choose the next Tathagata from the many bodhisattvas. Before he passes away, he will enlighten him with all his cultivation. Lung Jianfeng, a personal disciple of the Sword Palace, replied, "So, those old guys have to come out of the mountain to watch the ceremony to see how important it is. Didn't you see the tens of thousands of monk soldiers at the foot of the mountain? They have sealed the mountain gate and are guarding everywhere. At this moment, not even a bird can fly in, let alone an enemy. This is a big deal. A new Tathagata is going to be born?" Zhang Wen clicked his tongue in shock. He looked up and saw that the bodhisattvas on the side of the hall all looked uneasy. Obviously, they were a little worried about whether the position of Tathagata would fall on their heads. Only the Buddha-nature bodhisattva looked calm. His face was solemn, as if he was holding a pearl of wisdom and was full of confidence. For hundreds of years, Golden Rock Temple has been prosperous. There are many talents. The 6 bodhisattvas have all condensed sariras, which are golden cores. Almost all of them are at the late stage and perfected stage. Lung Jianfeng said with a look of envy, "But I'm afraid only the Buddha-nature bodhisattva can take over the position of Tathagata. He has endless merit." Endless merit? Zhang Wen didn't understand. Chapter 1168. The Changshan sect is the cancer of the fiend sects in West Earth. It has been stubborn for hundreds of years. This time, the Bodhisattva has gathered 1,000,000 troops to eliminate the Changshan sect. Lung Jianfeng sighed with a look of reverence and fascination. Could it be that this merit is not great enough? This is something that even the 3 Rulai couldn't do in the past 500 years. So, Master, Senior Brothers and Junior Brothers went to eliminate the Changshan sect. Zhang Wen was enlightened. If the sect master of the Sword Palace, Wang Xianchao, hadn't brought his fellow disciples to eliminate the fiends, he wouldn't have been able to participate in this banquet. Eliminating the fiends is the first thing. Lung Jianfeng lowered his voice and said with his immortal will, "Once the war begins, there will definitely be many deaths and injuries, and the people will be plunged into misery and suffering. Many cities, mountains, and plains will be filled with wandering souls. The disciples of the Golden Rock Temple will be able to obtain the power of faith and the merit of the power of will. That's the second thing." "I see." Zhang Wen was envious. Many of the divine powers of the Golden Rock Temple were converted from the power of will and the power of faith. This was something that the Sword Palace couldn't compare with. The Changshan sect will be defeated in this battle. They have a lot of treasures and the northern region is quite large. Countless resources will be distributed to the sects, countries, and cities. The Bodhisattva will have countless helpers. That's the third thing. With such favorable conditions, could it be that the Bodhisattva with Buddha nature still cannot ascend to the position of Buddha? Lung Jianfeng's eyes were focused as he made the final decision. Impressive. Zhang Wen was amazed. The Bodhisattva was simply a meticulous plan that killed 3 birds with 1 stone. This wasn't as simple as having a high level of cultivation. Only such a shrewd and scheming person would have the qualifications to control the entire West Earth. That Star Butcher, Kong Teichu, is indeed a talented person. He's only a foundation establishment cultivator, but he can become the sect master of the Changshan sect. Unfortunately, he's from Earth and he met the Bodhisattva. Lung Jianfeng lamented with a complicated look. There was a bit of admiration and regret in his eyes. So, he's from Earth. Senior brother Jianfeng, are you sure? Hearing this, Zhang Wen was extremely shocked and almost cried out in shock. Only many of the higher-ups knew about this, and this was the first time he had heard of it. Even in the great sects like Golden Rock Temple and Tingyu Tower, there might not be one in 1,000 years who could challenge a Jindan realm cultivator at the late stage of Jindan realm. But who would have thought that such an expert would appear in West Earth? Moreover, he actually came from Earthworld. It was truly unbelievable. Yes, he is indeed a peerless monster. Such an expert is extremely rare even in the ruins of immortality, let alone in the West Earth. Lung Jianfeng could only smile bitterly. So what if he was strong? So what if he was talented? In the end, he was just an ant from Earth. Without a powerful backer, he was all alone. How could he amount to anything? At this time, in the sky above the Thousand Buddha Hall, the eminent monks were shining with golden light. They sat in the clouds and were surrounded by lightning. Behind them, there were golden halos, which were extremely dazzling. Tathagata was the leader of the monks. He sat at the highest point on a golden lotus throne shaped by clouds and mist. He had a large body and a kind face. Beside him were venerables. Below him were the Vajras, Bodhisattvas, Arhats, Dharma protectors, and the heads of the various halls. Their cultivation was extremely powerful, and almost all of them were at the late stage of golden core. There were also some eminent monks from other races who had achieved the Tao. Under the Buddha light, a few sect masters sincerely worshipped Buddha and asked Tathagata to answer their questions. The sect master of the fire worship sect, Huofenshin, was an experienced perfected golden core cultivator. He had condensed a 6th-grade golden core with a large amount of red lotus earth fire, which was a middle-grade golden core. He was a famous perfected immortal in this world. He had a head of wild red hair. His face was rough, and his body was tall and majestic. He was surrounded by fire dragons, which were about 100 feet long. They burned the area with a radius of 1 mile. The clouds and mist crackled, and no one could get close to him. The sect master of the Tingyu Tower, Shaolingyu, looked only 30 years old. He had sword-like eyebrows and bright eyes, and he was handsome. When the breeze blew, his green robe fluttered in the air, making him look even more elegant. He looked elegant, quiet, and aloof from worldly affairs. However, a curtain of rain fell from the side close to Huofenshin. The rain was drizzling. Sometimes it was like a thin rain falling on a parasol tree, and sometimes it was like a shower hitting a banana. It was like the spring rain of apricot blossoms in the south of the Yangtze River. It carried a trace of desolation, coldness, and sadness. The rain was gentle, but it kept the raging fire dragons outside. They couldn't get close to him. It could be seen that his strength was not inferior to Huofenshin. The other sect master of the Hahuan sect was a beautiful man. He wore a colorful brocade robe and overalls. He had makeup on, but he was an enchanting man. He was unusually handsome. His skin was so delicate that even women would feel ashamed of themselves. His hair was parted in the middle, and his long hair was draped over his shoulders. He sat cross-legged on a huge python, but he wasn't at ease. He looked around, and from time to time, he would throw flirtatious glances at Shaolingyu and pout at Huofenshin. Shaolingyu looked at his nose, mouth, and heart. He turned a blind eye and listened attentively to Tathagata's sermon. However, Huofenshin's heart was pounding, and he gritted his teeth. This bewitching man was really hateful. He liked both men and women. When he sang and danced, he was even more moving. He made me angry. However, he quickly collected his thoughts and listened attentively to Tathagata's sermon. Tathagata's cultivation was profound, his strength was strong, and his dharma was extensive. It was said that he had the chance to reach the nirvana realm in his lifetime, which was the nascent soul that other cultivators often called. The nascent soul realm. That was the creation of the world. In 10,000 years, Tathagata was probably the only person who had truly stepped into the nascent soul realm. If he had passed down his cultivation before he passed away, the successor Tathagata would also have endless benefits and would be able to reach the nascent soul realm. Other than the three giants, there were also many elders, leaders of many sects, monarchs, and generals. There were a total of 500 people listening to the sermon, and most of them were golden core powerhouses. It could be said that the top powerhouses of the entire vast West Earth were gathered here, and there were even many living fossils. These people had powerful cultivation and held high positions. They could shake the entire West Earth with a stomp of their feet. However, at this moment, they sat down obediently like a group of primary school students listening to the sermon. Their faces were sincere and solemn, and they asked questions from time to time, not daring to show the slightest disrespect. Tathagata of the Golden Rock Temple had profound dharma and was well-versed in all things. With a little guidance from Tathagata, everyone was enlightened, and the obstacles that had troubled them for many years were suddenly unimpeded. Even violent auras shot up into the sky, and brilliance filled the sky. Dozens of people were sublimated to the extreme and broke through to the next realm on the spot. As expected of Tathagata, the only nascent soul powerhouse in West Earth. His dharma powers are really boundless and his dharma powers are vast. Seeing this, a fire worship sect grand elder was shocked. His face was full of reverence as he put his palms together and praised. He and Tathagata were of the same generation, but Tathagata had long surpassed them and ascended to the heavens. He was not someone he could compare to. Then, Tathagata ordered people to open the treasury and give out gifts to everyone. They were all top-notch pills, dharma artifacts, cultivation techniques, and cultivation resources. For example, the one Buddha pill was a superior-grade spirit pill. Once consumed, it could calm a cultivator's mind and dissipate their mental demons. It was very beneficial for cultivation. However, each person present had 3 of such spirit pills, and the consumption was huge. The nude assembly proceeded in an orderly manner. When it was about to end, Tathagata sat high in the clouds and looked at Fo Sheng. Fo Sheng, is there any news from Maolin City? Revered one, that Kong Techu is very powerful. I heard that after Ming Rui forcefully formed his nascent soul, he still used a secret technique of the Fiend sect to summon vengeful souls and kill Ming Rui. Fo Sheng stepped on the auspicious white clouds and slowly rose to the sky. He put his palms together and said respectfully, "Although Kong Techu inherited the Changshan sect and his crimes are unforgivable, we Buddhists are virtuous. I don't want to kill him because it wasn't easy for him to cultivate. Therefore, I've ordered Fire Beacon City to deploy 1,000,000 soldiers to intimidate him. I'm sure that the Taichu sect master will know what's good for him and come to Golden Rock Temple to accept his punishment before the nude ceremony ends. Once his demonic nature is removed, he'll definitely become a senior monk and benefit the world." The other bodhisattvas all looked over with admiration and envy. Buddhists are particular about equality and virtuous. Tathagata glanced at everyone and sighed. Ming Rui, the sect master of the Changshan sect, once studied Buddhism under me for 3 years. He used the Buddhist doctrine of reincarnation, but he didn't persuade people to do good. He only did evil things. The 3 laws of longevity, countless people killed each other, the flesh altar, giving up on oneself and committing suicide to sacrifice flesh and blood, the blood-body changing technique, greedy for the essence of others. After they die, they will definitely fall into the path of karma, hell, evil spirits and beasts. The Changshan sect's doctrine can be said to be the 3 poisons of greed, anger and stupidity. The poison is deep in the bones. Although our bodies are stinky, we can use fake cultivation to increase our karma. Committing suicide is the worst of the evils. I've tried to persuade her before, but she was already filled with demonic thoughts and didn't listen at all. This time, the Taichu sect master has just ascended. I'm sure the poison isn't too deep and his demonic thoughts aren't thick. He looked at Fo Sheng with admiration and smiled. Fo Sheng, you've made this good karma. Bring him here and you can save countless people. You've done a great deed. You're right, revered one. Many bodhisattvas, venerables, vajras and arhats nodded in agreement. I'll remember what you said, revered one. The Buddha nature arhat knelt down in the void. He could not help but reveal a trace of joy on his face. The Changshan sect dominated the north. Ming Rui and the Buddhists disagreed and killed randomly. They had always been a thorn in the side of the Buddhists. However, Ming Rui's fallacious reasoning and heresy naturally had countless believers who worshipped it as a standard and fervently believed in it. Once the Buddhists and the Changshan sect went to war, there would be a great war. People would be plunged into misery and suffering, and blood would stain the land. That was what Tathagata didn't want to see, so Golden Rock Temple didn't do anything. This time, if Fo Xing captured Kong Techu and converted his demonic thoughts, he would take down the Changshan sect from its roots. He would be able to suppress the other bodhisattvas. When Tathagata chose the next Tathagata, he would definitely choose him. Kong Techu, I'm grateful for your appearance. You'll be my stepping stone to become revered one. Fo Xing was so happy that the corners of his mouth twitched crazily. He couldn't control his majestic smile. Tathagata, also known as revered one, was the supreme being of this world. He stood on the golden peak of Mount Thunder and looked down on the boundless territory of the four territories like a god. He enjoyed the respect of billions of people and was worshipped by tens of thousands of sections. Even 100 emperors couldn't compare to him. Also, if Fo Xing became revered one, he would receive old Rulai's teachings in the future. He might reach the Nirvana realm and live for thousands of years. Furthermore, he would be the first Nirvana realm practitioner in West Earth in 10,000 years. He would create history and leave his name in history. Chapter 1169. The conversation above the Golden Peak soon spread throughout the entire Naked Summit. What? The Bodhisattva has already sent Fire Beacon City to capture the Taichu sect master. Not only that, the overlords of the Fire Worship sect, the Hahuan sect and the Tingyu Tower have all been dispatched. Many powerful sects in the Grand Middle region and the other 3 territories have also sent people to participate in the battle. The Bodhisattva has been training his army for a month. Ah, what a pity! The Taichu sect master was able to kill a nascent soul cultivator. What a pity that he's going to die here. Countless people's expressions changed. The overlords of the countries, sects and families who had come to participate in the Naked Summit were all shocked. He can kill Ming Rui, who is a nascent soul cultivator, but he's no match for the Zongzis. Ming Rui used an evil art to force a nascent soul cultivator, but his combat power is only at the peak stage golden core level. This time, Kong Techu is doomed. This is what Kong Techu deserves. The Changshan sect is the most evil sect in the northern region. He'll be killed sooner or later if he wants to sit on the throne. However, there were some people who revealed mocking expressions, believing that Jiang Tian would undoubtedly die this time, and that there would not be a good ending. At this moment, an arhat covered in blood staggered over, looking battered and exhausted. It was Kong Ming, who had been sent back by Jiang Tian to deliver the message. The news should have arrived by now. They're back. Seeing this, a hint of joy appeared on Buddha's face. Senior brother Kong Ming was severely injured when he tried to capture Kong Techu. We'll reward him in the future. Kong Ming flew to the Bodhisattva and said something with his immortal will. The smile on the Bodhisattva's face froze as if he had seen a ghost. What's wrong? Huofenshin frowned and asked. He felt that the Bodhisattva's energy had changed, as if he had been greatly frightened. At this time, Tathagata had already closed his eyes and looked sad. He heaved a sigh and said, Kong Techu is so powerful. He's killed so many people. His dharma was profound, and with his heart connection divine ability, he could check the thoughts of others. It was even more terrifying than ordinary soul searching. He already knew everything. Sect leader of flame worship, there is news from Maolin City. The Buddha nature Arhat said in a trembling voice, the million-strong demon slayer army has been utterly defeated. The 3 Zongzis, the head of the discipline hall, Chun Gang, and more than 30 golden core cultivators, have all perished. There is only one murderer, Kong Techu. As soon as he said that, the entire golden peak fell into dead silence. All the eminent monks of Golden Rock Temple, including the Tathagata of the present age as well as the sect leader, the monarch, and the heads of aristocratic families who came to participate in the naked ceremony, were all dumbfounded. "Junior brother, are you mistaken?" A bodhisattva walked out and looked at the bodhisattva in disbelief. "That's 3 zongzis and the head of the commandment hall. That's a total of 33 golden core experts. Even if we, the revered one of the world Tathagata, would not be able to win easily. He's merely Jiang Taichu. How can he annihilate the entire army by himself?" The bodhisattva's hands trembled and his face turned pale. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead and he did not know how to answer. "Revered one of the world Tathagata, this guy is ruthless and ruthless. He killed millions of people. He deserves to be punished. The bodhisattva is too kind and benevolent. Why did you bring him here? You should have converted him with Buddhist Dharma. You should have killed him on the spot. Kong Taichu must have taken the opportunity to sneak an attack. How despicable! Otherwise, how could he have killed so many people? Revered one of the world Tathagata, please lead us to kill this guy." Everyone could not believe it and their killing intent was boiling. Especially the 3 sect leaders, who were filled with righteous indignation and were about to kill Jiang Tian. Bai Hu, Lianqing, and Xiao Qinghe were the fruits of their hard work. They were going to inherit their legacy in the future and were closer to them than their own children. How could they bear to see them killed? Tathagata sighed. Tathagata had a sorrowful look on his face. Before he could make up his mind, a golden rainbow that pierced through the sun and moon suddenly lit up the horizon. The golden light was so domineering and sharp that it didn't slow down at all even when it was blocked by the grand array of Mount Thunder, the golden Buddhas, and the heroes of the world. The golden streak of light was like a peerless heavenly sword that could cut through thousands of stormy waves. It forcefully tore apart the protective formation of the mountain and rushed through it, arriving above the golden peak. Accompanying the golden rainbow was a sonorous sound that pierced through the air and split the clouds. It was as if metal and stone were clashing together. Kong Taichu, the sect leader of the Tianqing school on Earth and the sect leader of the Changshan sect in West Earth, is here to attend the naked ceremony. The voice echoed in Mount Thunder. Millions of people were shocked. Jiang Tian's arrival was arrogant and unruly, and his aura was vast and majestic. He turned into a golden light and went through the grand array of Mount Thunder. He knocked away the overlords who tried to stop him and came to the top of the golden peak, facing Golden Rock Temple's Tathagata. At this moment, the 5 million people who came to attend the naked ceremony on Mount Thunder and the 10 million people in the cities at the foot of the mountain looked up at the same time and saw the tall man in the sky. The young man's black hair was like a waterfall and his robe was like a fluttering flag. His face was as handsome as a god's and he wasn't any weaker than Tathagata. "Kong Taichu, how dare you break into the Golden Rock Temple on Mount Thunder?" A bodhisattva with the Buddhist name of Foxen stood up and shouted angrily. "You're the demon slayer army of Buddha. You're breaking into Maolin City? You can break in, but I, Kong Taichu, can't do it?" Jiang Tian sneered and raised his hand to clap. Suddenly, an incomparably vast and heavy earth elemental aura descended from the sky like 10,000 mountains, suppressing over. Boom! This Fozi Foxen was instantly pressed down until he fell straight down, lying on the ground miserably. Just when he couldn't stand it anymore, the pressure suddenly disappeared. He was terrified and didn't dare to move forward again. He already understood that if Jiang Tian had struck him heavily earlier, then he would have died a violent death long ago. Jiang Tian was obviously more powerful than the other Buddhas. He was on par with the sect master of flame and was even on par with Tathagata. No wonder he could kill millions of demon slayers. He's so powerful. Many of the people present understood what was going on. Their faces were filled with fear, and they no longer dared to underestimate Jiang Tian. "Taichu, I did gather the army because I know the demon spirit is strong and I won't give up easily. I have to scare you." Foxian's face turned pale. He suppressed his anger and shock and looked at Jiang Tian, who was floating in the sky like an immortal. He said in a deep voice, "But I'm doing this for the sake of the people of the north. The longevity sect is full of evil and evil. Our Buddha wants to convert you. This is also for your own good. Otherwise, you will fall into the demonic path like Ming Rui and be consigned to eternal damnation." Your FOXN? Jiang Tian's expression was calm as he coldly smiled and said, "Fire Beacon City's group said that everything was your plan. FOXIN didn't deny it and couldn't deny it. Convert me? Demon Dao?" Jiang Tian smiled coldly and said, "However, I think that you're the greatest demon, right? If I didn't accept your conversion, Fire Beacon City and the others would have killed hundreds of thousands of Yen Huang tribe people. What crimes did the Yen Huang tribe have committed? You killed the innocent. If you're not a demon, then what is?" As soon as these words came out, everyone was surprised. "Bastard!" Hua Burning Heaven laughed and said, "The Yen Huang tribe people are weak. The Yen Huang tribe people are weak. In the eyes of the sect leaders of the great sects, you're not even comparable to ants. You're just a lowly life form from Earth, and you dare to kill the disciples of the great sections. I think you're tired of living. Humiliate my people? I'm an ant? Do you know that those who humiliate others will be humiliated?" Jiang Tian narrowed his eyes and sneered. He slapped across the air. "Ant, you dare to attack me?" Hua Burning Sky was furious. The Yuan Qi in his dantian exploded. 9 fire dragons flew in the sky and wanted to stop Jiang Tian's slap. Rumble! The 9 fire dragons were formed by endless red lotus hellfire. They were more than 100 zhang long and were extremely powerful. They were extremely hot and could melt gold and iron. They could destroy all attacks. After all, he was the sect leader of the Flame Worship sect and controlled the Red Lotus Hellfire Pagoda. He had an inexhaustible supply of Red Lotus Hellfire. These fire dragons were many times stronger than Fire Beacon City's fire attacks. Each of them could melt the attacks of a Great Circle Jindan expert. But, under Jiang Tian's palm strike, a loud rumbling sound rang out, and the 9 giant dragons were smashed into smithereens. Hua Burning Sky was knocked 100 meters away. When he stabilized his body, everyone was shocked to see that a clear handprint had suddenly appeared on his cheek, and it could be seen down to the slightest detail. At this moment, many experts and millions of people gasped in unison. Even Xiaolingyu and Mei Jianan were shocked. The palm strike that suppressed Fuxin was already stunning enough. At this moment, Jiang Tian had shattered the 9 fire dragons with a single slap and sent Hua Burning Heaven flying. He was so powerful that it made people dumbfounded. Oh God, that's a peerless sect master. He's even more powerful than Ming Rui. I can't believe he was slapped. Zhang Wen's eyes almost popped out. Jiang Tian didn't kill Hua Burning Sky, or rather, he didn't want to kill anyone. However, Jiang Taichu was able to send a peerless sect master flying with ease. This was enough to prove that Jiang Taichu's strength was far superior to Hua Burning Heaven and the other sect masters. Chapter 1170. Kong Taichu's current strength is at least 10 times, no, 100 times stronger than when he was at the Golden Lotus platform. I don't know if he had deliberately suppressed his cultivation before, or if his cultivation level has skyrocketed after a month of seclusion. Lung Jianfeng's face was pale as he muttered to himself. At this moment, the tens of thousands of people on the Golden Peak had been scared out of their wits by Jiang Tian's strength. Regardless of whether it was Jiang Tian who had turned into a golden rainbow and pierced through the mountain-guarding Grand Formation, Jiang Tian who had suppressed Fuxin, or Huofenshin who was slapping Huofenshin, they were all extremely terrifying. Jiang Tian looked around and said indifferently, "You call the Yen Huang tribesmen ants and treat their lives like grass. Who would have thought that in the eyes of Kong Taichu, you are also ants? If I want to kill you, who can stop me?" Arrogant. Arrogant. Too arrogant. One of the fire worship sect's supreme elders, Hui Yen, was so angry that black smoke and sparks were coming out of his nostrils. At this moment, his entire body was trembling with anger. Jiang Tian had destroyed Fire Beacon City and slaughtered tens of thousands of disciples. This was already an unbearable loss for the fire worship sect. Now, Jiang Tian had sent sect leader Hua Fenshen flying with a slap. He had trampled the fire worship sect's face to the ground. As a living fossil, Hua Yan could not bear such humiliation. Kill him. Immediately, with Hua Yan as the leader, the 4 fire worship sect's grand elders were all experienced great perfected Jindan realm experts. They were all filled with righteous indignation. Fire-based Yuan Qi burst out, burning the void until it collapsed as they closed in on Jiang Tian. If we don't get rid of this kid, the West Earth will not be at peace. This kid's cultivation level is extraordinary and his talent is exceptional. In time, he will definitely fight for the West Earth. At that time, we will be in trouble. We have to kill him in the cradle. Xiao Lingyu, Mei Jiaonan, and the other experts looked at each other and closed in on Jiang Tian. Their Yuan Qi burst out and their auras rose. Everyone stop. Suddenly, Tathagata extended his right hand and bellowed, "Please listen to this penniless monk." In this world, Tathagata of the Golden Rock Temple was known as the revered one of the world. His status was supreme, and his words carried enormous weight. "Revered one of the world, please speak." As soon as he spoke, everyone stopped in their tracks and retracted their killing intent. They bowed and put their palms together to show their respect. Although the Taichu sect master has a demonic heart, he also has a Buddhist nature. "You've said it well." Tathagata smiled. "All life is equal. No one is an ant. Everyone is the spirit of all life. We are all life, the Yanhuang tribe are all life, and the demons are all life." Fire Beacon City and the others want to kill the Yanhuang tribe. Sect leader Blazing Sky thinks that this is a matter of course, but he is wrong. The Bodhisattva's killing intent is too strong. Demonic barriers are everywhere, causing millions of people to die an unnatural death. He is also a sinner. Alas, Tathagata is so kind-hearted. Everyone was astonished. They hadn't expected Tathagata to respond in such a manner. He even exposed his own family's dirty linen and blamed everyone. Wrong? And then? Jiang Tian laughed. "Love and hate are but fleeting clouds. Greed, anger, and foolishness are but illusions. Evil creatures of karma. I think the Taichu sect master should understand this with his wisdom." Tathagata smiled. This poor monk wishes to form a good relationship and uphold justice. Golden Rock Temple and many other sects have made peace with the Taichu sect master and turned hostility into friendship. Many people who supported the Demon Slayer army will become Buddhists and convert to Buddhism. They will reflect on their mistakes and no longer care about worldly affairs. As for the Bodhisattva, this poor monk will punish and discipline him severely. He will be demoted to an ascetic monk. He will face the wall for 100 years and reflect on his mistakes. He will practice asceticism for 100 years and purify the souls of the dead. He will practice medicine for 100 years and save millions of lives. He will use 300 years of merit to atone for his sins today. This disciple obeys the orders of the revered one. The Bodhisattva seemed to have been struck by lightning. His face was as white as paper. He trembled and kowtowed, tears rolling down his cheeks. Demoted to the lowest level of ascetic monk, falling from heaven to hell. He had to atone for his sins for 300 years. He would never have the chance to be Tathagata again. "That's it? You want us to convert to Buddhism?" Hua Fenshen and the others immediately looked unhappy. They knew that Jiang Tian was powerful and that Tathagata was doing this to protect them, but they were still unhappy. Besides, no matter how powerful Kong Taichu was, they might be able to defeat him together. The beautiful man chuckled. His voice was crisp and soft like the chirping of an oriole. He said, "Revered one of the world, are my disciples going to be killed by Jiang Taichu for nothing?" Xiao Lingyu was handsome and carefree with a melancholy temperament. He said coldly, "Revered one of the world, with the help of Golden Rock Temple, it will be easy to destroy this monster. Do you think you'll get anything good if you let go of this opportunity? Kong Taichu has already taken over the Changshan sect. He'll destroy the other sects and Buddhism in the future. Kill him. We can't let him live. Huofenshin clenched his teeth and his eyes were filled with hatred. It was humiliating to be slapped by Jiang Tian in public. If Jiang Tian didn't die, he wouldn't be able to eat or sleep in peace for the rest of his life. Is this demon so terrifying that even Tathagata is afraid of him? More people were shocked and couldn't believe it. Jiang Taichu had killed millions of people from the Demon Slayer's army. Among them, there were many disciples of the Golden Rock Temple. However, Tathagata wanted to let bygones be bygones and make peace with Kong Taichu. In order to appease Kong Taichu's anger, he even punished the bodhisattva who he valued the most. Tathagata smiled and said, "Even if the Taichu sect master destroys Golden Rock Temple one day, there will still be people who believe in Buddhism. As long as there is faith, Buddhism won't be destroyed because of Golden Rock Temple. If you're willing to put down your weapons and become Buddhas, that's the best. If not, I can only invite you to a duel outside the mountain." Hui Yen, the grand elder of the fire worship sect, said with his immortal will, "Everyone, be careful. Maybe Tathagata can see that Kong Taichu is not to be trifled with. It's better for you to convert to Buddhism and preserve your strength." Hui Yen was even more powerful than Huofenshin. He was a living fossil who had seen a lot and had a unique vision. His words caused everyone to hesitate for a moment, their expressions troubled. "Let it go? You really don't have hair on your head, so you can't do things properly." Just when everyone was hesitating, Jiang Tian suddenly laughed loudly and revealed an expression of displeasure and displeasure. "What do you mean? How dare you be disrespectful to the world venerable and blaspheme Buddha?" Everyone's face froze. They couldn't believe it. Many bodhisattvas, arhats, and vajras were so angry that they couldn't sit still. Tathagata had already made an extreme concession. Could it be that this brat still wanted to fight and kill? Only Tathagata was still smiling. He asked, "Taichu, are you still not satisfied?" "No, it's not fair." Jiang Tian shook his head. "What I hate the most about Buddhism is that you put down your weapons and become Buddhas. Bad people kill countless people. As long as they wake up, they can become Buddhas. On the other hand, good people have to go through 81 tribulations to become Buddha. In my opinion, evil must be eradicated. Bad people have to put down their weapons and kill them. What if one day they want to pick up their weapons again? You've already killed so many people. Tathagata didn't hold it against you. What else do you want?" Xiao Lingyu asked coldly. "Taichu, I'm just advising people to be good and to be reborn. I'm giving evil people a new path to change. When evil people are forced into a desperate situation, they'll be more destructive." Tathagata waved his hand to stop Xiao Lingyu and smiled bitterly. "What about those who have already become Buddhists? For example, the Buddha Nature Bodhisattva wants to destroy Maolin City and kill 500,000 people to force me to submit." Jiang Tian did not budge an inch and retorted, "He's already become a Buddhist, but he's still doing evil. Where else can he go now? What other excuses can he find? Today, you want to build a good relationship and protect others. I can give you face, but this guy is the culprit. I have to kill him. Or rather, I want to kill the Buddha Nature Bodhisattva and then go to Golden Rock Temple. Are you willing to accept me?" The smile on Tathagata's face gradually disappeared and a heavy Buddhist aura spread out. "Taichu sect master, do you have to be so aggressive?" he shouted in a low voice. Suddenly, it was as if thunder had exploded in the void. Lightning shot out in all directions, and a chilly wind suddenly attacked. Just a moment ago, the Golden Peak was still calm and peaceful, with auspicious clouds and golden light. It was extremely auspicious. But now, it was filled with murderous intent and thunder. The scene was shocking. "Aggressive?" Jiang Tian sneered and retorted sarcastically. "Maolin City is just a small border city with few cultivators. Today, those who are participating in my ascension ceremony and standing with me are only a handful of golden core powerhouses. It can be said that they are weak and alone, unable to support the situation. And the Buddha Nature Bodhisattva gathered an army of 1,030,000 golden core cultivators to threaten me with the lives of 300,000 Yen Huang people. That's aggressive. Bald bastard, when he forced me, you didn't stop him as his master. You're obviously tolerating him. When things don't work out, you want to pretend to be an expert and mediate. May I ask if you're qualified? You're fishing for praise and hypocrisy. You're also involved in this massacre and your hands are stained with blood. Can you stay out of it? You deserve to die too. I didn't kill you and only killed the Buddha nature Bodhisattva because I didn't want to provoke a conflict between the Buddhists and the Changshan sect. I didn't want to make the people bleed and suffer. Jiang Tian placed his hands behind his back and paced in the air. His tall and straight body was like a peerless heavenly sword as he said in a powerful voice. I'll give you one last warning. Today, I'll kill the Buddha nature Bodhisattva. Monk, if you continue to nag, I'll flip your lotus, wash your golden peak with blood and kill all your bald donkeys. Jiang Tian's words shocked everyone. The millions of people present were dumbfounded and couldn't believe it. Tathagata of the Golden Rock Temple was known as the revered one of the world. He had profound dharma and great supernatural powers. He was the supreme ruler of the world. In the eyes of everyone, he was a true Buddha. He was like a high and mighty deity that needed to be looked up to and worshipped. Jiang Tian dared to call him a bald bastard and said that he was fishing for praise. He said that he should be killed and threatened to kill all the monks. Chapter 1171. Supreme One of the World, this disaster was caused by me. I'm not afraid of death. I'm willing to bear the consequences. The Buddha nature Arhat couldn't take it anymore and shouted. Beside him, Hua Burning Sky, Shaolin Yu, and the beautiful man also stepped forward and said coldly, as long as Kong Teichu can kill us, we're willing to bear the consequences. We're willing to bear the consequences and accept our deaths. These three were all peerless sect masters, giants of the current era. They were experienced perfected golden core cultivators and were only a step away from forming the nascent soul. These juniors of Fire Beacon City couldn't compare to them. In their opinion, the three giants and the Buddha nature Arhat would definitely succeed if they attacked Kong Teichu together. Hui Yen, the fire worship sect's grand elder, shook his head gently and said with his divine sense, Arhat, everyone, the four of you might be able to do it together, but you'll have to pay a heavy price. Originally, if we attacked in Maolin City, with the threat of the Yen Huang tribe, Kong Teichu would be cautious. We had a good chance of winning. But now, the situation has taken a turn for the worse. The battlefield has been moved to the naked ceremony of Golden Rock Temple on Thunder Mountain. Are we going to smash Golden Rock Temple and let tens of thousands of elites and pillars of the sect bleed? This, the four hesitated. The Buddha nature Arhat's face was pale. He had never been so aggrieved before. That was true. The naked ceremony was a gathering of elites and experts, but no one expected it to be a hindrance to killing Kong Teichu. Kong Teichu was a perfected golden core cultivator and a true grand perfected golden core cultivator. He could destroy heaven and earth with a raise of his hand and kill tens of thousands of people with one move. At that time, the elites of many orthodoxies would die, and their lineages would be cut off. Now, you evil disciple, do you understand? Tathagata glanced at the Buddha nature Arhat and said in a low voice, if you can survive today, you'll still be punished to reflect on your mistakes for 100 years, practice asceticism for 100 years, and practice medicine for 100 years. Yes, Supreme One of the World. The Buddha nature Arhat bowed and then retreated step by step. At this time, Jiang Tian sneered and said, you want to run away? Buddha nature Arhat, if you dare to run one more step, I'll attack you immediately. Tathagata's face turned cold. Fellow Grand Primordium, I'll leave you with a warning. As long as I'm here, you can't kill a single person. You can't kill anyone. Oh? Are you going to make a move? Jiang Tian's expression was very interesting. As you wish. Tathagata said calmly, this penniless monk didn't want to kill you on account of the fact that it wasn't easy for you to cultivate. Furthermore, you insist on the idea of equality for all living beings and have a Buddhist nature. But now that I look at you, your killing intent is heavy, your hatred is like the sea, and your demonic nature is more than your Buddhist nature. Therefore today I will go on a killing spree, slay demons, punish evil, and promote good to protect the peace of West Earth. This arrogant fellow really thinks that Tathagata is afraid of him. Seeing this, the beautiful man chuckled and teased, "Haha, I'm not going to let you go. Tathagata is just kind and benevolent. He cherishes life and is unwilling to kill people. Now that he has angered Tathagata, I think Tathagata will chop him into pieces." Tathagata is the only nascent soul realm expert in this world. This Kong Taechu is really courting death. Xiao Lingyu also shook his head and mocked, his eyes full of contempt. It was as if Jiang Tian was already a dead man in his eyes. Good. Tathagata is finally going to make a move. Kong Taechu, you dare to slap me. This time, you will be reduced to ashes. Hua Fenshen gritted his teeth and hated Jiang Tian to the core. His beloved disciple, Fire Beacon City, was killed by Jiang Tian and tens of thousands of disciples died in Jiang Tian's hands. That was nothing. The point was that he was actually slapped by Jiang Tian in public. That was a great humiliation. If Jiang Tian didn't die, he would probably live in endless humiliation and shadow for the rest of his life. He would never be able to raise his head again. Okay, Kong Taechu, do you want to kill me? Let's see how you're going to kill me today. Seeing this, the Buddha nature Arhat also revealed a hideous smile and his heart was full of disdain. I indeed underestimated you and didn't see your strength clearly. I can even say that my strength and talent are indeed inferior to yours. But there's one thing you'll never be able to compare to me. That's my Tao heritage and backing. My master is the top overlord in West Earth, Tathagata of Golden Rock Temple, the overlord of the world. Even if I bully you, what can you do with my master backing me up? What about you? What do you have? Kong Taechu is indeed talented, but he doesn't know the principle that the strong are easy to break. However, Leng Jianfeng shook his head and sighed. Tathagata has already given him enough face and done everything he could, but he didn't know when to stop and insisted on being aggressive. Now that Tathagata has attacked, it would be strange if he didn't die. Yet, after all, he's from Earth and doesn't know how vast the world is. He thinks he's great just because he killed a golden core cultivator. He doesn't know that Tathagata's strength has already reached the nascent soul realm and is extraordinary. Next to him, Zhang Wen also nodded and agreed. Once he enters the nascent soul realm, he can hold up the sky with one hand. He's called a heavenly lord. Many people around heard this and looked at Tathagata with reverence and fascination. He forced Tathagata to lower his head. How impressive is that? He'll be famous and secure his position as the sect master of the Changshan sect. He can brag about it for the rest of his life. If he stopped while he was ahead, I'm afraid he'll be doomed. He's also bluffing. I'm afraid he'll immediately reject the challenge. Many people discussed among themselves as they looked at Jiang Tian with disdain. When they saw Tathagata was about to attack Jiang Tian, among the tens of thousands of people present, from the peerless sect masters to the emperors of nations, sect disciples and ordinary people, none of them thought highly of Jiang Tian. Everyone thought that Jiang Tian was an ant trying to shake a tree and a mantis trying to stop a chariot. He was courting death. They even thought that Jiang Tian wouldn't dare to accept the challenge. Even Buddha nature and the others sneered and thought that Jiang Tian wouldn't dare to accept the challenge. All right, you've nurtured a traitor with tolerance. You deserve death for your crime. I want to kill you and then kill Buddha nature. Unexpectedly, Jiang Tian suddenly raised his eyebrows. His eyes were burning with the flames of battle, and a murderous aura soared into the sky. What? He accepted the challenge? Many people cried out in surprise. Tathagata, the dominator of the world, had been taught by 2 generations of Tathagata. He had entered the nascent soul level and had the power to destroy the world. Such an overlord stood at the top of the Westland and looked down on the world. Who could defeat him? My friend, we're holding a naked competition today. You and I are both overlords of the world. Our battle will be earth-shattering. Please move to the sky above Mount Arhat. Tathagata sighed. Mount Arhat was on the side of the Golden Peak. The Arhat Hall was where the disciples of the Golden Rock Temple cultivated. The entire mountain seemed to be made of gold. It flashed with golden light and was covered with runes and runes. Not even a peak-stage golden core overlord could destroy it. The two of them fought above Mount Ar. Even if the battle was earth-shattering, the grand array of the Buddhist sect wouldn't affect the entire mountain. It could also block their Dharma powers so that the bystanders wouldn't be hurt. Tathagata slowly stood up, a lotus blossoming with each step. Finally, he soared into the sky and transformed into a golden light, shooting into the depths of the sea of clouds above Mount Arhat. "I'll be waiting for you in the sky." Tathagata's voice was as loud as a bell, echoing throughout the entire Thunder Mountain, shocking everyone. "All right." Jiang Tian stepped into the air and also turned into a beam of golden light, shooting into the sky like a shocking rainbow. The two of them disappeared from everyone's sight in the blink of an eye. Only the sect masters, elders, monarchs, city lords, and family heads were left looking at each other in dismay. "How can we miss such a great battle?" Xiao Lingyu chuckled and rode on a cloud to follow him. "Him, I want to see Kong Teichu die with my own eyes." Huofenshen grinned and clenched his teeth, creating sparks. He turned into a fire dragon and flew up like a meteor. The others also came to a realization. The sect masters, elders, monarchs, and city lords all soared into the sky. In a blink, dozens of golden core cultivators who came to watch the battle all flew into the sky. How dare he accept the challenge? He's courting death. The Bodhisattva grunted and clenched his fists. He also flew up. Such an earth-shattering battle is rare. What if we can't see it in the clouds? The remaining Foundation establishment overlords were worried that the energy waves would be too strong, so they didn't dare to go closer. Everyone. Today, I want to see how this arrogant Jiang Taichu will be slapped to death by Tathagata. At this moment, some of the fire worship sect's elites controlled their raging flames to burn the sky. The clouds around them crackled as they were burned away. Only the clear sky was left so they could see the battle between Jiang Tian and Tathagata. Jiang Tian ascended to the sky and reached a height of 10,000 meters. He broke through the sea of clouds and saw a great sun leaping out from the sea of clouds. Its radiance was boundless, illuminating the sea of clouds within 10,000 li in a golden color. Tathagata stood above the sea of clouds. His body was huge, and endless Buddhist light appeared behind his head, forming dazzling halos. His majesty was boundless, and his magical powers were vast. He was indeed the Buddha of this world, the dominator of a world. "Kong Teichu, you shouldn't have accepted the challenge." Lord Tathagata smiled mercifully. "You shouldn't have taken over the position of the sect master of the Changshan sect. This sect is completely evil. You don't know how to cherish your reputation. I won't be able to explain myself if I don't kill you." "Lord Tathagata, evil is the past. In my hands, this sect will go on the right path and protect this world," Jiang Tian said calmly. "However, you disregarded justice and righteousness and sided with the Buddha. I had no choice but to kill you. I, Jiang Taichu, will definitely take revenge and seek justice." "Kong Teichu, you're too arrogant." Lord Tathagata smiled. "You're young and arrogant. You're invincible in the three realms of earth, sky, star, and heavenly kingdom. You think you're invincible, but you don't know the vastness of the universe. There are many overlords beyond your imagination. You seem to be a Foundation establishment cultivator, but you can't hide from me. In fact, you formed a supreme fake core and can kill a nascent soul overlord." As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. Chapter 1172. I see. This guy is so cunning. If we knew that he was a supreme fake core cultivator, how could we underestimate him? Many people cursed and sighed. Everyone thought that although Jiang Tian was powerful, his cultivation level was still at the Foundation establishment level. Even when Jiang Tian had just arrived at the Golden Peak, no one could see any clues. However, Tathagata had sharp eyes and could see Jiang Tian's true cultivation level at a glance. Tathagata smiled and sighed. Such strength is indeed extraordinary, But you don't know how powerful I am. I have been at the half-step to Nirvana realm, which is the nascent soul stage, for 100 years. How can Ming Rui, that little girl who is addicted to fiend arts, compare to me? Haha, I, Kong Taechu, have rarely met a worthy opponent since I rose. Even when I came to West Earth, killing Ming Rui was like chopping vegetables. I haven't even used 50% of my strength. Jiang Tianzong let out a long laugh, but his eyes were full of killing intent. He said coldly, "To be honest, I, Kong Taechu, have been itching for a fight for a long time. Are you a veteran nascent soul cultivator? Where? I can use your neck to sharpen my knife." This kid is so arrogant that there's no end to it. How arrogant! You don't know your place. How dare you speak rudely to Tathagata? You should be killed. As soon as he said that, everyone who had rushed over shook their heads and snorted. Many Golden Rock Temple monks were so angry that they jumped. Kong Taechu, you are also a talented person. A trace of pity appeared on Tathagata's face and he shook his head regretfully. What a pity! If I met you 100 years ago, I would probably have to avoid you. However, I am now at the advanced half-step to Nirvana stage and am only a step away from true Nirvana stage. Killing you is as easy as crushing an ant for me. Fellow Taoist, thank you for your advice. He put his palms together and bowed to Jiang Tian meticulously. However, when he raised his head, his eyes were filled with killing intent. Do it. Jiang Tian's expression was calm. Tathagata snorted and punched out. Rumble. Instantly, the heavens and the earth were in a state of chaos. The sun and moon hung upside down as the heavens and the earth were turned upside down. The endless Buddhist light transformed into a golden bell with a radius of 100 meters. The surface of the large bell that seemed to be cast from gold was covered in symbols and symbols. It emitted endless golden light, and lightning as thick as dragons revolved around it. It emitted heavenly sounds that rumbled between heaven and earth. It could crush mountains and rivers and shake the earth. 5 Thunder Heaven Raising Bell. This bell was forged using the boundless Buddhist light and the spatial lightning from the Thunderclap Mountain. It took me 3 60-year cycles of hard work. Everyone in the world thinks that my strength is only on par with Ming Rui and the other masters of the 4 top sections. How could they know that I killed them with a flick of my finger? Ever since I refined this bell, it has only appeared 3 times. The first time, I killed the snow devil of the northern region for 10,000 years. The second time, I killed the ancestor of the flood dragon tribe of the eastern sea. The third time, 300 years ago, I crushed the 10 great elders of the all-pleasure sect with a single bell. Today, it's your honor to die under this bell. After that, Tathagata smiled and flicked his finger. Rumble. The sea of clouds within 50 miles cracked in front of the bell. Suddenly, a huge straight passage appeared in the boundless clouds. The 5 Thunder Heaven Raising Bell turned into a dazzling golden light beam surrounded by lightning and crashed toward Jiang Tian. The 5 Thunder Heaven Raising Bell seemed to be able to hold up the sky and shatter the earth. There was nothing but this bell in the sky and on the ground. Once the bell appeared, the 100,000 cultivators and millions of mortals in the sky and on the ground were all shocked and frightened. Perhaps no one in the world knew how powerful Tathagata was, except for the few arhats. The living fossils that had fought with him before were either dead or kept a secret. They never talked about it to the outside world. However, after seeing it today, everyone realized how powerful the current Tathagata of Golden Rock Temple was and why he was called the Revered One. Golden Rock Temple has reigned supreme in West Earth for tens of thousands of years. It stands at the peak of West Earth and has an incomparably ancient heritage. The Dharma access it possesses is grand, pure, and unyielding. Its strength is simply unimaginable. Shaolin Yu's expression turned serious as he said in a deep voice. Although he was on par with Tathagata in terms of seniority, he had always treated Tathagata as his teacher and was filled with reverence. When the others heard that, they were filled with fear and reverence. Golden Rock Temple was a major Buddhist sect and originally stood aloof from worldly affairs. Why did everyone still respect it as the Revered One? Firstly, It was fair in handling matters, and secondly, it was powerful. 300 years ago, the sect master of the all-pleasure sect went astray. Not only did he cultivate the joyful Zen, but he also began to rob innocent women. At that time, Tathagata was only a arhat. He went up Chong Lu Mountain 3 times and kowtowed with every step. He knelt down and spoke Buddhist words to persuade them not to do evil and harm the people. At that time, Tathagata tried his best to persuade them. However, not only did the sect master not listen, he even mocked and killed Tathagata. Tathagata had no choice but to fight the sect master and the 10 elders alone. When the bell was thrown out, it destroyed their divine souls and shook 100 miles. Since then, the all-pleasure sect was frightened and only dared to walk the path of pure dual cultivation and sincerely worship Buddha. They didn't dare to do evil anymore. This time, this world-shocking bell was struck out again. It was like a golden meteor was descending, and lightning was born in the air. Golden light suffused the air, and flames burned the heavens. It illuminated an area of several dozen kilometers, and it was difficult to imagine that this was actually struck out by a living person. Humph! If Kong Taechu is smart this time, he won't take the power of the 5 thunder sky-raising bell head-on. Tathagata's power is unparalleled. Who can resist the bell? He's just a fake core cultivator. Even if he's a supreme fake core cultivator, so what? He'll be crushed and his divine soul will be destroyed. Just when Huafenshin and the others were laughing, thinking that Jiang Tian would be defeated and would run away. Tathagata, is that all you've got? You've disappointed me. Jiang Tian's eyes flashed with sarcasm and he shouted coldly. Many of the thick earth God-suppressing chains were broken. The 5 fake cores of Gingjin, thick earth, Xianshui, azure wood and Suzuka jumped slightly in his dantian. Then, a vast true essence like a tsunami filled Jiang Tian's dantian, limbs and bones and flowed to his entire body. This was the first time Jiang Tian had used 5 fake cores. He felt an endless and violent force fill his entire body. It was so powerful that his dantian seemed to be about to burst. Jiang Tian stepped in the air and faced the 5 thunder sky-raising bell head-on. His black hair flowed like a waterfall and he threw a punch. What? He wants to use his body to fight the 5 thunder sky-raising bell? Seeing this, everyone couldn't believe it. When Jiang Tian punched out, there was a rumble, and a loud sound that was like a nuclear explosion erupted in the world. At the point of contact between the fist and the 5 thunder heaven-raising bell, clouds of sonic booms appeared and surging shockwaves swept in all directions. Black cracks began to appear in the space around them. The vault of heaven seemed to be torn apart. Below, Arhat Mountain trembled violently. Terrifying ravines and cracks appeared one after another. However, the 5 thunder sky-raising bell was fixed in place by Jiang Tian's punch. The thunder and lightning on it were motionless like a dead python and the golden bell kept trembling. After about 3 seconds, cracks appeared on the 5 thunder sky-raising bell and it let out a burst of unwilling screams. Then it exploded uncontrollably. When the smoke dissipated, everyone saw Jiang Tian slowly withdraw his white fist. He was unharmed. How is that possible? Everyone turned pale when they saw this scene. He's not dead. How could this be? Hua Burning Heaven roared, his eyes almost popping out of their sockets. The 5 thunder sky-raising bell can crush a peak-stage golden core cultivator like a chicken. Back then, when Buddha was still the arhat, he once smashed half of the Hahuan sect's dojo with this bell. How did he make his body? Is it the bloodline of the ancient gods? The beautiful man screamed in disbelief. I can feel that when he punched out, there were 6 types of true essence behind him. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth, and thunder. Surrounded by clouds and mist, Shaolin Yu's expression was grave, as if he was facing a great enemy, as if he had encountered the most difficult problem. But you and I both know that a cultivator can only cultivate 1 or 2 kinds of true essence at most. How can he have all 5 elements? Every cultivator practiced different cultivation arts and tried different paths. But once you reach the golden core level, your true essence must be pure, or one or two kinds of true essence must be able to cooperate and transform with each other. For someone who had all 5 kinds of true essence, it was too heterogeneous and there was no way to reach the highest level. Everyone was shocked and puzzled. The 5 thunder sky raising bell was broken by a punch, but Buddha's face was still calm. He held the prayer beads in his hand and said calmly, "You're indeed powerful and talented. You've formed 5 fake cores, which can be said to be groundbreaking. Today, I'll use Thunderclap 8 strikes to test Kong Techu's Connate 5 elements fake core." He shook his right hand and 8 prayer beads flew out. There was a loud rumble. One after another, the prayer beads suddenly exploded, turning into 8 indomitable shadows of the heavens and monsters of Buddhism and Taoism, standing in the air in front of Tathagata. Demigods and Dragons 8. Someone exclaimed in disbelief. Buddha's Thunderclap 8 strikes has reached the phenomenal level and formed the 8 demigods dragon. Every single one of these 8 god Tao monsters were extraordinarily mighty, possessed peerlessly formidable strength, and were terrifying to the extreme. But it's not cultivated by Buddha. Legend has it that the Golden Rock Temple tried to use the golden cores of the past Buddha, Bodhisattva, and eminent monks to refine them into divine monsters. Once refined, each of them has the power to destroy the world. Hui Yen, the supreme elder of the fire worship sect, narrowed his eyes when he saw this. His expression turned grave as shock filled his face. But it's extremely difficult to turn a golden core into a divine monster. I didn't believe it before, but after seeing the 8 demigods dragon today, I believe it. Hiss. Doesn't this mean that the current Buddha and the past Buddha and countless golden core overlords are attacking Kong Techu together? How is it possible for Jiang Taichu to survive? When everyone heard this, they all sucked in a breath of cold air, and their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Humph, it's not easy to fight the 8 demigods dragon head-on. No matter how strong he is, he's just an ant on earth. It's impossible. The Buddha-like Buddha held the prayer beads in his hand and smiled mockingly. He looked at Jiang Tian as if he was looking at a dead man. Chapter 1173. This kid seems to be very delicious. A deity approached Jiang Tian. He had the body of a human and the head of a snake. He was at least 100 feet tall and had a flower drum around his waist. He also had a wine pot and a piece of meat. He held a drumstick in his hand and his golden eyes flashed with a frightening cold light. His snake-like tongue flickered as he drooled greedily. The python god, Maharaga, also known as the earth dragon god. He likes to be angry and loves to drink and eat meat. However, he's not afraid of being deaf and can even be merciful and wise. The Buddha Nature Arhat said proudly, "He alone can tear apart a top golden core cultivator and crush Kong Techu as if he were an ant." Another god fiend walked out of the void next to Maharaga. This monster's face was no different from a normal person's, but it had a single horn on its head and countless arms. It held various musical instruments such as pipa, chin, bell, flute, drum, sheng, and so on. Its fingers plucked and its arms waved, playing beautiful music. He sang and danced. His long robe fluttered in the wind and ribbons surrounded him, making him look beautiful. Gennaro, the god of songs, the god of music, also known as Fei Tian. His voice and music can dissolve the killing intent and hostility of others. Kong Techu, are you afraid? Gennaro sneered and looked at Jiang Tian as if he were an ant. Just the two of you? The difference is too great. Jiang Tian shook his head with disdain. This kid is really arrogant. He's about to die, but he still dares to talk nonsense. Does he want the 8 deities to attack him together? Huofenshin grunted. Everyone else also shook their heads. Kong Techu really didn't know what was good for him. The Thunderclap 8 strikes was the 8 deities dragon, which was extremely powerful. They weren't as simple as Dharma power shadows. They were like new lives with bodies of flesh and blood that had substance, which was equivalent to Tathagata's avatars. What if I'm included? A sharp whistling sound was heard, like a gale sweeping through. The clouds rolled and dispersed, and a demonic god shot over like a golden rainbow piercing through the sun. His appearance was peculiar. He had the head of an eagle and the body of a human. He had 2 arms, but his legs were covered in feathers and his feet were like eagle claws. 2 huge wings sprouted from its back, one of which was 1,000 meters long. Its feathers looked as if they were carved out of gold, and its entire body looked as if it had been cast in gold. It looked extremely majestic. The golden-winged rock is also known as Garuda. Legend has it that its ancestors fed on flood serpents and had a wingspan of 3 million kilometers. At this moment, Tathagata is only using the former Tathagata's Sarira golden core to simulate, but it's already extraordinary. Everyone felt the terrifying power that was being emitted, and they couldn't help but feel their hearts palpitate. A stupid bird. It's a pity that my big black dog isn't here. Otherwise, I'd definitely slap you to death and feed you to my dog. Jiang Tian's face was full of contempt. Garuda was so angry that all his feathers stood on end. Garuda, don't be angry. This Kong Teichu is known as the ruler of the 3 realms. He's unruly and arrogant, so why would he care about you? A strange god cackled and walked out slowly. He had 3 heads and 6 arms, 3 faces, and 3 mouths that opened at the same time. He held the sun and moon blades, demon-subduing pestle, sharp sword, flower basket, shield, and many other weapons. He had 3 faces, both male and female, but they all looked ugly. They had green faces and fangs, their hair was disheveled, and their muscles were knotted together. They looked like evil spirits that had walked out of hell. Ajura, it's said that he's the god with the most terrifying combat power. Legend has it that he once had a great battle with Sakra. The pupils of the Buddha shrank, and his face became solemn. There was actually a faint feeling of fear. A strong fragrance that refreshed the heart and mind wafted over, and a goddess walked over. This goddess had a beautiful face and an enchanting figure. Around her, flowers fell in profusion, and golden lotuses bloomed on the ground. She didn't say anything and just looked at Jiang Tian silently. Gandharv, fragrant goddess. Nourished by the fragrance of hundreds of flowers, the fragrance that she exhales can revive the dead. Hui Yen from the sect of Fire's face froze, as if he was facing a great enemy. His eyes were filled with fear, and he quickly retreated in alarm. But if you want to kill the enemy, you have a strong poison that can break a cultivator's true essence Gang Qi. The body of the person who smells it will crack, and the organs will shatter. There's no cure. Kong Teichu, your soul is so complicated. It's even more complicated than Ming Rui's. There are actually several of them. Another god monster appeared. This god held a demon-subduing pestle in one hand and a ghost head blade in the other. Its hair was disheveled, and it had the head of a bull and the face of a horse. One of its nostrils was facing the sky, while the other was facing the ground. One of its eyes was on the forehead, while the other was on the chin. One of its ears was in the front, while the other was in the back. Its palms and feet were like the claws of a beast, and its bony hooks were covered in fur. Its body emitted endless black light, and its hair emitted 100-meter-tall green flame that was rolling and rolling. It looked ugly, terrifying, and intimidating. Yaksha, the guardian god, who specializes in evil spirits, vengeful spirits, and spirits as food. Everyone cried out in alarm and retreated. A giant dragon, about 1,000 feet long and covered in dense scales, also appeared in the distance. However, he did not approach Jiang Tian. Instead, he lazily lay on the cloud and spat out water mist onto himself. He only rolled his eyes at Jiang Tian, as if Jiang Tian was too weak and was not worthy of him making a move. This was the dragon horde of the demigods and semi-devils. Other than that, there was also a Buddhist pagoda of the 20 heavens formed from countless Jindan Sariras. It was also over 1,000 feet tall, and there were phantoms of the heavens and Buddhas all over it. This was the heavenly horde of Buddhist legends. However, the 20 heavens were the highest existences in Buddhist teachings. It would probably take tens of thousands of Jindan to form. There were too few Sariras and insufficient dermic powers. Although the Buddhist pagoda was formed, it did not have a solid substance. It appeared ethereal and hazy. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. From the moment the prayer beads exploded to the moment the demigods and semi-devils formed, only a few seconds had passed. Jiang Tian was immediately surrounded by 6 monsters. Each of them was formed from the golden cores of the previous Tathagata and had the strength of a perfected golden core or even a nascent soul. They were almost immortal and indestructible. Jiang Tian instantly fell into a peerless killing trap. In the face of such a peerless killing trap, even Ming Rui would have a headache and would have to give up his sword and admit defeat. Just when everyone smiled and thought that Jiang Tian was going to lower his head and admit defeat, they were shocked to see Jiang Tian standing proudly with his hands behind his back. Tathagata, you're really funny. Even if the previous Tathagatas were still alive and fought with you side by side, I wouldn't be afraid. Besides, they're already dead. They're just monsters formed from their golden cores and divine souls. You want to use them as a trump card to kill me? Aren't you underestimating me too much? Seeing this, many people were stunned and said in disbelief, does he really have the strength to kill the previous Tathagatas? Don't listen to his nonsense. He's just bluffing when he's about to die. Hua Burning Heaven snorted in disdain. Kong Teichu, you're just a golden core cultivator. So what if you're at the perfected level? Tathagata smiled calmly. The appearance of these monsters is equivalent to the previous Tathagatas attacking you. You're no match for them. He suddenly stomped his foot and shouted, attack! Tathagata, you're too slow. I've long wanted to eat him. Why did I have to talk nonsense with him for so long? Maharaga the Python god roared and was the first to attack. He dashed forward with big steps, crossing 10 miles in a blink of an eye and arriving in front of Jiang Tian. His venomous tongue wriggled for dozens of meters as he opened his bloody mouth and tried to bite Jiang Tian, as if he could swallow the sky and the earth. Get lost! Jiang Tian shouted in a low voice and waved his hand. Swish! The radiant vermilion bird divine body exploded. With a whistle, the radiant vermilion bird spread its wings across the sky. The flaming wings were like heavenly swords of fire as they swept out and smacked the python god heavily. The python god Maharaga screamed miserably and flew out like a withered leaf in the wind. With a rumble, he smashed into Arhat Mountain, causing the ground and mountains to shake. Kill! The radiant vermilion bird flapped its wings and rushed up. Its flaming claws were like hooks as they grabbed at the python god. The moment Jiang Tian's vermilion bird divine body attacked, the expressions of many monsters changed. They were all formed from the golden cores and divine thoughts of the previous Tathagatas. They were incomparably powerful. They were usually displayed in the stupa and worshipped by many believers. They could absorb a lot of willpower and psyche power, so their souls and abilities were not much inferior to when they were alive. They could feel the terror of the radiant vermilion bird. The true origin contained in the radiant vermilion bird divine body seemed to be the total amount of a fake golden core. In the eyes of these old Tathagatas, it was not vast. However, the vermilion bird was like a divine weapon forged from a piece of metal that had been hammered thousands of times. It was incomparably heavy and extremely sharp. Its destructive power far surpassed that of an ordinary golden core. Not good. Attack together. Seeing this, Gushin Kinara cried out in alarm. Even though he was screaming, his voice was still so pleasant to the ears, like a celestial chanting. Instantly, he flew toward Jiang Tian and stood between Jiang Tian, the radiant vermilion bird, and the python god. At the same time, his thousands of arms waved in unison, playing many musical instruments. Instantly, waves of demonic sounds formed the most terrifying sound wave attacks that enveloped Jiang Tian. Some of these sound wave attacks were like muffled thunder, some were like the howling of the wind, some were like the roars of angry dragons, and some were like the whispers of lovers. Not only could they destroy the physical body, but they could also interfere with the mind of the person who was destroyed. Even Ming Rui would not be able to withstand it. Suddenly, wherever the sound wave passed, Buddhist light flickered and the void cracked. The Arhat mountain below trembled. Many formation patterns shone brightly and then suddenly dimmed. They were actually obliterated in an instant. Then huge gullies were actually cracked open. At the same time, the three gods, Yaksha, Garuda, and Asura, also attacked Jiang. Every attack was earth-shattering. Seeing this, countless people were frightened and their faces turned pale. They retreated 10 miles away to avoid being affected. "You're still singing and dancing with such a lousy voice? You're courting death." Jiang shouted and used the dragon roar demonic sound. A black sound wave blasted out from Jiang's mouth like a heavy cannon. Black light flashed and the consciousness of the soul devourer was mixed in it. Boom! Gushin Kinara was sent flying 10 miles away, causing the sea of clouds to churn and the void to tremble. Pipa, Guqin, Jin. Many instruments cracked and he spurted out blood with a frightened face. Yaksha, Garuda, and Asura attacked from the side, but they were also sent flying a few thousand meters away. They were all frightened and couldn't believe it. Without any obstruction, the light vermilion bird dashed through and grabbed the python god with its flaming claws before it could even get to its feet before rising into the air. In front of everyone's shocked eyes, the light vermilion bird spat out flames towards the python god and pulled with its claws. Suddenly, amidst the blood-curdling screams, the python god's sturdy body, which could withstand nuclear weapons and was not afraid of a volley of missiles, was cut in half from the middle. Then, endless crimson flames engulfed him. Instantly, he was reduced to ashes and smoke. Not even a drop of ash was left. Jiang only used one of his divine bodies to kill the python god in a few flicks of his fingers. Instant kill. Seeing this, everyone was shocked. The sky above the Arhat mountain and above the sea of clouds, dozens of miles were silent. Chapter 1174. How is that possible? Huofenshin's eyes almost popped out of their sockets and his face was full of disbelief. This python god, Maharaga, was a god-fiend, and abnormally powerful at that. It was formed from the golden core Sarira and the remnant soul of a Gautama 1,000 years ago and had absorbed the power of faith of countless believers. Even when the four divine monsters had joined forces to stop him, Jiang was still able to kill them. Not only did he break through their defense, but he also killed the python god with a single blow. Those divine monsters were formed from the golden core Sarira of the past Gautama and were as powerful as a peak-stage golden core overlord. Some were even more powerful, especially when they used the shape of Buddhist Dharma forms to create many divine powers. But Kong Teichu was able to destroy them with a single blow. Didn't that mean that Jiang Dharma powers and strength had surpassed that of the past Gautama? Not only Huofenshin, but also the Arhat, Shaolingyu, the beautiful man, the elders of the large sects, the Gautama and many other divine monsters were stunned. The Bodhisattva's towering bodies suddenly trembled. Cold sweat appeared on everyone's foreheads and their eyes were filled with fear. They had thought that Jiang's body was strong, so the Gautama didn't compete with their bodies at all. They competed with their divine powers and Dharma forms, using their strengths to attack the other party's weaknesses. They had never thought that Jiang's Dharma powers were far more powerful than theirs. Is that the red sparrow Dharma body? It's one of the most powerful divine beasts in the universe. Senior brothers, be careful. The flames of the red sparrow can burn the golden core and divine soul. Kinara's voice was filled with fear and uneasiness. Even the divine monsters felt an unprecedented sense of danger in front of the divine body of the red sparrow, which could burn the sky and melt the earth. The most terrifying thing about a golden core overlord was the power of their Dharma forms. The second was their ability to resist attacks and recover. The golden core was said to be indestructible. Even if a cultivator was cut in half, as long as their golden core wasn't broken and their divine soul wasn't destroyed, they could rebuild their body and fight again. However, Jiang's vermilion bird True Fire was simply too terrifying. Even his gold core and divine soul were burned into nothingness, leaving not a single trace behind. Legend has it that only a golden core Sarira of the 6th grade and above can condense into a divine monster. This kind of golden core can be burned for 3 years with the Red Lotus Hellfire and still remain intact. But this kid's strange flame can easily burn a 6th grade golden core. His flame is probably stronger than the Red Lotus hellfire. I never thought that there would be such a powerful flame in this world. Hui Yen, the fire worship sect's supreme elder, realized this as well. His face turned pale and his heart turned cold. Fire worship sect relied on the Red Lotus earth fire to stand tall and proud in West Earth for thousands of years. They were not much weaker than Golden Rock Temple. They had always been proud of the Red Lotus earthly fire. However, after seeing Jiang Tian's vermilion bird primordial fire, they realized that there was always someone better out there. Compared to Jiang Tian's vermilion bird true fire, the Red Lotus earth fire that shook West Earth was like a joke. Let's attack together and kill him. This kid must not be left alive. The Yaksha said with a sinister gaze as it turned its head and glanced at Jiang Tian. If he stays, there will be endless trouble in the future. This kid's murderous intent is too strong. West Earth will never be safe. Another head turned around and glared at Jiang Tian with a ferocious expression. Murderous intent spread out from his body. If we don't kill him, we will all die. Another head turned around with a hint of fear. If the appearance of the 8th Division Heavenly Dragon just now was to prevent a possible threat and to kill Jiang Tian while he was still weak, then that would be the case. But now, Jiang Tian had killed the Python god with a flick of his finger. The other divine monsters were already on the verge of death and were fighting for their lives. If they let Jiang Tian go today, any of the divine monsters would be burned to ashes by Jiang Tian if they were left alone by Jiang Tian. Boom! Asuras attacked. Asuras were known for their speed, bravery, and powerful combat power. His body swayed and a black crack appeared in the air at the speed of light. It was like a space tunnel. He crossed 10 miles in the blink of an eye and arrived in front of Jiang Tian. His 3 heads opened their mouths and roared at the same time. His 6 arms swung together and Dharma artifacts such as the sun-moon twin blades, a sword, a shield, and a flower basket smashed down together. They destroyed the void and attacked Jiang Tian crazily. These Dharma artifacts surpassed spirit treasures. Each of them had been strengthened by countless eminent monks and the wishes of billions of believers to form supreme Dharma powers. They had great merit, great aspirations, and great divine powers. It was easy to destroy mountains and cities. The powerful Dharma powers contained in the Dharma artifacts were released in an instant. Lightning flashed and sword light was cold. The sun and moon hung upside down. The void was distorted and shattered. The world was turned upside down and chaos was everywhere. Count me in. Kinara had just been attacked by Jiang Tian and was extremely angry. His face was cold as he took out a bunch of musical instruments and started to play them. He also used Buddhist chants to disrupt Jiang Tian's fighting spirit and killing intent. He wanted to weaken Jiang Tian's battle prowess to the lowest. Suddenly, the Buddhist chants were peaceful and bright, calming all the killing intent and fighting spirit. They surrounded Jiang Tian's divine soul. Kill! Taking advantage of this opportunity, Garuda flapped his wings and crossed 10 miles at the speed of light. He flew behind Jiang Tian in the blink of an eye. His feathers were like sharp swords and his 300-meter giant wings swept towards Jiang Tian. Go to hell! Yaksha's face was terrifying. His body was surrounded by a black aura and a green fire rose above his head. He held the demon's subduing pestle and the ghost head blade and flew above Jiang Tian. Your divine soul is mine. He opened his bloody mouth, trying to devour Jiang Tian's soul consciousness and all of Jiang Tian's spirit power. As for the incense god Gandharv, she stood still 3 kilometers away from Jiang Tian. Without making a sound, he flicked his finger. Instantly, flowers flew out one after another. They were beautiful and moving, and their fragrance seeped into one's heart. It was as if one was enlightened. But it was highly toxic. Even an overlord at the peak stage of the golden core level or a mid-grade golden core would die if he touched it. In the blink of an eye, Asura, Yaksha, Kinara, Gandharv, and Garuda, the golden-winged rock, had launched their attacks at Jiang Tian. 10,000 meters high in the sky, strange phenomena appeared. There was a huge storm, lightning flashing, wings spreading across the sky, 10,000 ghosts howling, falling petals, and heavenly maidens scattering flowers. The attacks were very dangerous, as if Jiang Tianjue had no chance of surviving. While Arhat and the others clenched their teeth and clenched their fists, cheering for the gods and monsters, Jiang Tian took back the bright vermilion bird and sneered, "Everyone, you're still too weak. Do you think I only have this divine body?" Boom! As Jiang Tian stomped his foot, there was a rumbling sound, and a pitch-black ancient door suddenly appeared above Jiang Tian's head. The gate was 100 feet wide and black as if it were made of black glue. There were many three-eyed monsters carved on it. Some were standing with swords, some were gritting their teeth, some were full of hatred, some were eating human flesh, and some were swallowing souls. The black glue flowed like melted wax, causing the three-eyed demon gods to distort and deform, making them look even more terrifying. With a clang, the gate opened and endless screams came out, as if thousands of souls were screaming at the same time. Gloomy winds howled furiously as dark clouds roiled and converged, and a strand of deathly silence, murderous despair, horrifying, miserable, terrifying, and sorrowful emotions filled an area of 5 kilometers, and it was as if the door to hell had been opened. What's that? In a blink, everyone felt their souls freeze and they were dumbfounded. The attacks of the monsters paused, and they felt as if their souls had been taken out of their bodies. Many of their attacks were destroyed. You can also say that this is the gate of hell. Didn't the legendary Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva of the Buddhist sect control hell? Let's see if you can control the hell I've created. Jiang Tian laughed. His eyes suddenly became like black crystals. His pupils didn't differentiate between white, and they were extremely evil and terrifying. He started to recite a series of obscure, yet loud and shocking devil language. From the door, a gigantic demonic palm with a radius of 100 meters stretched out. It was covered with scales the size of a water tank and sharp bone hooks. After the giant hand, everyone saw it. The gate seemed to be connected to another world. There were millions of levels of hell and billions of fiend gods, all of them terrifying and powerful. The demonic palm blotted out the sky and the sun as it scooped down like an eagle grabbing a chick. It grabbed the yaksha and squeezed him until he screamed in pain. The black light around his body collapsed and the green flame above his head was extinguished. Then, it shrank back into the door with a swish. The door was closed. Yaksha's shrill pleas and screams filled with fright could be heard. Everything returned to silence. The gate twisted and turned into a black soul-devouring immortal will, which flew into Jiang Tian's mind. Another fiend, the yaksha, had died. It can devour the soul and body of the yaksha, who has strong soul energy and is good at devouring souls. What is that? The remaining fiends were so frightened that they took a few steps back. Even the dragons were so frightened that their scales exploded. Even the 20 Buddhist pagodas trembled uneasily, as if they were frightened by Jiang Tian. Don't worry, I won't kill you with this. Doesn't the yaksha like to devour people's souls? Then I'll let him have a taste of the pain of his soul being devoured. What are you good at? Feel free to use it. Jiang Tian laughed loudly. He was domineering and looked like he was going to give them a taste of their own medicine. At this moment, Jiang Tian's gate of the underworld could have devoured everyone's souls. However, Jiang Tian did not. Jiang Tian wanted to use the method they were best at to attack them. At this moment, Jiang Tian's arrogance, domineering, and confidence shocked everyone and made their hearts tremble. Even Tathagata's expression became serious. There was a trace of regret in his heart that he was unwilling to admit. Chapter 1175. Tathagata's eyes were sharp, and he naturally knew how powerful Jiang Tian was. However, he believed more in the power of the 8-division heavenly dragon. He thought that once the 8-division heavenly dragon appeared, Jiang Tian would have to admit defeat. However, he didn't expect Jiang Tian to kill so many gods and monsters. This made him shocked, pained, and regretful. Since Jiang Tian could kill the python god and yaksha, it was only a matter of time before he killed the other gods and monsters. Unless he used the heavenly horde, which was the 10,000 Buddha relic pagoda, to suppress Jiang Tian, he would be confident. However, This supreme treasure was only in its embryonic form. Once it was used, it might destroy the Golden Rock Temple's foundation in West Earth. He couldn't afford to gamble. Taoist Grand Primordium, you are indeed powerful. I underestimated you. Tathagata smiled bitterly and wanted to shake hands with a benevolent expression. I did as you said and killed the Bodhisattva to appease the world and appease the dead souls. I don't know if you can stop. But are you afraid? Jiang Tian stood proudly in the void, his eyes flickering with divine light. He was like a god descending to the mortal world as a mocking smile appeared on his face. I gave you a chance, but you didn't take it. Don't expect me to give you another chance. Jiang Tian's eyes were arrogant and unruly as his battle intent surged. The revered one of West Earth is very impressive. You Indians have been sitting there for 10,000 years. It's my turn to sit there. After killing you, I will be the Buddha Lord of West Earth. Do you think you can master all things? You're courting death. The golden-winged great rock was furious as he quickly approached and swept his huge wings toward Jiang Tian. His speed was unparalleled, and his huge wings were also terrifyingly powerful. Gusts of astral winds swept out, and with a single sweep, the area within a radius of 10 miles would be filled with gusts of wind. It could crush a huge city into dust and kill an army of 100,000. Bang! Jiang Tian snorted as his gung-metal divine body erupted and merged with it. A peerless saber slashed down. Chila! The golden-winged great rock was split into two from the middle. Even the golden core Saraira was shattered. Jiang Tian reached out and grabbed it, crushing it with one hand. Jiang Tian had just killed the golden-winged rock and had yet to catch his breath. Kong Teichu, don't be so smug. The Azura had already used a secret spatial technique, tearing apart space and attacking violently. Many magical artifacts danced in the air, and his strength was as great as a mountain. 3 bloody mouths suddenly opened, revealing teeth as sharp as scimitars. Saliva flowed out as if he wanted to devour Jiang Tian's golden core. The god of songs, Gennaro, used the same trick again and again. The sound wave attacks made the space ripple like water, and the scenery was distorted. He wanted to confuse Jiang Tian's spirit and weaken his fighting spirit. The incense god Gandharv also continued to release the colorful falling flowers from afar. However, she kept on shifting, her figure flickering in and out of sight, afraid of being targeted by Jiang Tian. Die! Jiang Tian's swirling azure wood body exploded. Moreover, it suddenly appeared behind the incense god Gandharv from 10 miles away. Its roots danced wildly in the air like a dragon and grabbed her. Gandharv was caught off guard and was instantly torn to pieces. Her blood stained the sky and the fallen flowers turned into mud. Azura, you're far from enough. The swirling azure wood arrived first and took care of the god of songs, Gennaro, in the blink of an eye. Jiang Tian still had time to deal with the Azura. Suddenly, the Earth Inglong's divine body erupted and merged with Jiang Tian. It had a human body with a dragon head and was a few hundred feet tall. Its giant claws covered the sky and carried an incomparably heavy aura. It waved at the Azura. What's this? A dragon? The Azura screamed. It was too late for him to dodge. The claws of the Inglong hit his body. Boom! Crack! The Azura's powerful body, which was not afraid of the bombardment of nuclear weapons, exploded as if it were made of tofu, turning into a rain of crystal-clear flesh. How? How is that possible? Seeing this, everyone's faces were filled with shock and disbelief. The Buddha Nature Arhat looked as if he had been struck by lightning. He stood there like a wooden chicken, motionless. The Azura was formed by the perfected golden cores of the 3 former Gautama, so it had 3 heads and 6 arms and was unimaginably powerful. But then, it was as vulnerable as a 3-year-old baby in front of Jiang Tian. After the Azura was smashed into pieces by the claw, the 3 golden Sarairas that fell on the Arhat mountain released strands of golden threads. They struggled on the brink of death, trying to reform their bodies. But the Earth Inglong stomped on the 3 golden cores and crushed them into the mountain. All their Dharma power and divine powers collapsed and they could no longer form. Azura was the one with the strongest physical combat strength among the demigods and semidevils. However, he could not withstand a single blow from the thick earth-winged dragon. "Let's go together." At this time, the heavenly dragon could no longer sit still. With a roar, it bared its fangs and brandished its claws as it pounced over. This sky dragon was not much smaller than the earth-winged dragon. Its eyes were filled with ferocious light. It lifted its claw and grabbed a 1,000-meter-tall mountain from the Arhat mountain. It swung it and smashed it toward Jiang Tian, the earth-winged dragon, and the dancing green tree. It was a shocking scene. The dragon was unimaginably powerful. It used the mountain as a weapon and smashed it with the power of the world, as if it could shake the world. At the same time, the song god Kinara endured the excruciating pain and attacked again. The rhythm of the pipa, bells, snare drum, and other musical instruments in his hands became more and more urgent, like pearls falling on a jade plate, like raindrops hitting banana leaves, like silver vases bursting with water, and like the cries of cavalry charging out with swords and spears. The sound waves rolled and swept across the sky, full of killing intent. Around Jiang Tian, Divine General Gung Jin suddenly appeared. He was hundreds of feet tall, holding his saber and riding his horse. His entire body was bathed in golden divine radiance. Under his pressure, Gushin Kinaro seemed short and weak, as if he was a demon that had met a true god. Kinara was only 100 meters tall. But Divine General Gung Jin had already formed a false core. Although he hadn't fully unleashed his power, he was already 500 meters tall. The long sword in his hand was 600 meters long. He rode on the Qilin and his body shone with golden light, like a god. The Kirin beast he was riding was a newly formed Dharma form. It was about 1,000 feet long and covered in dense scales. It had a dragon head and looked mighty. Its roar could be heard from 100 miles away, just like the legendary divine beast of the universe. After Jiang Tian obtained the chaotic source stone, it could be said that he had an inexhaustible supply of cultivation resources. The 5 elements circulated endlessly, and he could form anything he wanted. When Divine General Gung Jin appeared, the entire sky seemed to be lit up. Everyone felt a terrifying pressure, and even breathing was difficult. The eyes of the Buddha-like Arhat almost popped out. Jiang Tian's divine forms were too terrifying, and each one was more powerful than the last. The 8-division heavenly dragon paled in comparison, like a mouse seeing a cat. "Kong Teichu, if you stop now, we still have room for negotiation." When Gushin Kinaro saw this, he felt a bit of fear. He softened his tone, wanting to stop fighting with Jiang Tian, shake hands and make peace. "You want to stop because you can't win? You must be dreaming. How can there be such a bargain in this world?" Jiang Tian sneered and waved his hand. Divine General Gung Jin rode on the Qilin and rushed forward. The long sword in his hand slashed down, as if it could even split the sky. "Arg!" Kinara, who was in the lead, shouted. Many of his arms held musical instruments and let out rolling sound waves, trying to stop the attack. But Divine General Gung Jin was as powerful as a divine-grade fake core cultivator. Its power, speed and weight were all above Kinara's. Besides, the true essence of Gung Jin was known for its sharpness and invincibility. With just one slash, Kinara and the Dharma artifacts in his hands were all split in half. Even his golden core was cracked. The Qilin beast under Divine General Gung Jin opened its mouth and sucked in the golden core and energy like a whale sucking in water. This incomparably powerful monster was no match for Divine General Gung Jin and was tragically annihilated. "Buddha, I've used all my strength and I'm still struggling. We're about to be annihilated. What are you waiting for?" The heavenly dragon roared. It fought fiercely with the thick earth-winged dragon. Every time they clashed, mushroom clouds would erupt. Each collision was comparable to an attack from a perfected golden core cultivator, like a nuclear explosion. The entire Arhat mountain was shaking violently, as if it were about to collapse. Originally, it had been on par with the earthen winged dragon. However, seeing that Divine General Gung Jin and the whirling green tree were also charging over, It was about to be surrounded and consigned to eternal damnation. It was already panicking. The 20 Buddhist pagodas formed by the heavenly beings are the relics of Buddha, Bodhisattva, Vajra, and senior monks in the history of the Golden Rock Temple. There are 10,000 golden core relics in total. That's why the Golden Rock Temple has been able to suppress West Earth for 10,000 years. So, it's also called the 20,000 Buddhist relic pagodas, the pagoda that protects the temple. Hearing this, Tathagata put his palms together and looked up at the huge golden pagoda floating above his head. He revealed a strong reluctance, a trace of regret, and a boundless determination as he said, "Once the pagoda appears, it has the power to cleanse the world, shake the universe and destroy the world. I was originally unwilling to use this treasure, but today, I have no choice but to use it in order to kill this devil, Jiang Taichu." He used his Dharma power and the light of Buddha around him shone brightly. "Kill him." Boom. The relic pagoda shook violently and rose to the sky, releasing thousands of rays of Buddha light. At the same time, there were Buddhist chants that rippled in the air. The pagoda immediately expanded and became 10,000 feet tall in a few seconds, like a few Himalayas stacked on top of each other. There were 20 phantoms and thousands of Buddhas inside, which smashed towards Jiang Tian. "Oh my God! This is the power of heaven, the power of God." Huofenshin looked up in fear and was dazed. He only felt that he was as insignificant as an ant before this indomitable Buddhist pagoda. Even if he used his Dharma form, he was still nothing in front of the pagoda. A golden core is as heavy as a mountain. It's formed by 10,000 golden core relics. How heavy must it be? I'm afraid it can penetrate the continent and shake the entire West Earth. Xiao Lingyu looked solemn. This was the reason why the Golden Rock Temple could suppress West Earth and become the supreme being of the world. They had a strong foundation. There were many talents in every generation and they were powerful. The power of the Buddha and the senior monks was also preserved through the secret art of transforming golden cores, which was equivalent to a long period of accumulation with very little loss. Especially the 20 Buddhist pagodas. After the senior monks who formed the relics passed away, they offered their golden cores to the pagodas. After 10,000 years, there were already more than 10,000 golden cores in the pagodas. Its power was no longer something that humans could resist. Even the legendary nascent soul cultivators would be terrified when facing the pagodas. They wouldn't dare to face them head-on. Chapter 1176. The 20,000 Buddha Relic Towers. So this is the Buddha's final trump card. The beautiful man was also shocked. This is the result of 10,000 years of painstaking effort of the Buddha's senior monks. That's right. The 20,000 Buddha relic towers were created by the current revered Buddha and the previous revered Buddhas using 10,000 golden cores. The Buddha nature Bodhisattva bowed slightly, his eyes red. However, this relic tower has yet to be completed. Although it has the power of a spirit treasure, it has yet to produce spiritual thoughts. I see. As soon as he said this, there was no need for him to explain in detail. Everyone came to a sudden realization. The 20,000 Buddha relic towers contained the relics of 10,000 senior monks, but the relics often contained remnant souls. They cultivated the same cultivation technique, and the quality and attributes of their golden cores were the same, making it easy to refine. However, their spiritual thoughts were different, and they each had their own ideas, memories, and attachments. Therefore, it was difficult to combine their spiritual thoughts to produce an artifact spirit and a pagoda spirit. How can the Buddha activate this pagoda? Suddenly, the fire worship sect's Grand Supreme Elder asked in horror. The revered Buddha can only activate this pagoda once, and I'm afraid he will pass away. The Buddha nature Bodhisattva's face was filled with sorrow. After hesitating for a long time, he suddenly knelt on the ground and cried loudly. The pagoda's artifact spirit was very weak. It would be very difficult to activate it with dharmic powers. To put it bluntly, he was just a rough embryo. However, this pagoda was indeed powerful. It could surpass a spirit treasure and reach the level of a true weapon. If it was not used, it could be refined by 3 generations of Buddha's chanting. It could turn thousands of Buddhist thoughts into a great aspiration and become an artifact spirit. This way, the Golden Rock Temple could be suppressed forever, allowing the temple to prosper and prosper. However, now, he had no choice but to use this pagoda to deal with Jiang Tian. How could the Buddha nature Bodhisattva not be sad? After all, the Buddha was only in the nascent soul realm. He was not a true nascent soul realm cultivator. If he forcefully activated this artifact spirit, he would be severely injured and die. At the very least, his divine powers would be exhausted. Bodhisattva, in order to quell this disaster, in order to extinguish the karmic fire that you created, the revered one has risked his life. A bodhisattva said with a solemn expression. At this moment, the Buddhist pagoda spanned across the heavens and the earth. Every illusory image of the gods and Buddhas shone brightly. The Buddhist pagoda also emitted 10,000 rays of golden light. It was huge and heavy. The vast and vigorous Buddhist light gathered at the bottom of the Buddhist pagoda, drawing out a golden arc in the air like a golden dragon soaring into the sky. This kind of power was too shocking, too spectacular, and too huge. It didn't look like a Buddhist divine skill or a Dharma artifact attack at all. It was as if Mount Bujo was falling down. It had already surpassed the limits of human strength. Countless people within a few hundred li were astounded by the sight, and their hearts were pounding rapidly. Countless people kowtowed in the direction of Thunder Mountain and the Golden Rock Temple, saying that the Buddha Lord had shown up and that Tathagata had shown his power by vanquishing demons. Even Maolin City, which was thousands of miles away, saw this scene. After all, they were high up in the sky, and the Buddha's light shone brightly. It was as if Mars had crashed into Earth, and it could be seen from far away. This is the legendary 10,000 Buddha Saraira Pagoda of the 20 Heavens. This will be a fierce battle for the Taichu sect leader. In an instant, Tang Linglong Ikaran, Lady Wu, Fairy Luo Mei, Mao Bohu, Mao Hongdai, Fan Xiuzhu and the others were worried for Jiang Tian. They didn't know if Jiang Tian could withstand it. If we win this battle, the Changshan sect will soar like a dragon. If we lose, we'll be doomed forever. The Grand Elder's face was pale and his body was shaking. He knew that with his power as a perfected golden core cultivator, he would be crushed and his divine soul would be destroyed if he faced the Saraira Pagoda. Taichu sect leader 300,000 Yen Huang tribe members looked at the Buddhist pagoda solemnly, anxiously, and shockingly. They were full of gratitude and respect for Jiang Tian in their hearts. In order to win a chance for the Yen Huang tribe, the Taichu sect leader had risked universal condemnation to kill his way to the immortal Golden Rock Temple and punch Tathagata. How great of a favor was this? How much courage was this? How could they not be grateful and full of admiration? At this time, above Arhat Mountain. Tathagata, you have a trump card, but how do you know that I don't? Jiang Tian clasped his hands behind his back, looking at the huge Buddhist pagoda rising into the air, his face calm. This Buddhist pagoda was formed from tens of thousands of golden core Saraira. It was extremely heavy, like a dozen Himalayas falling together. Kong Techu, today, you and your Dharma idol can die under the Saraira pagoda. It is also your glory. Tathagata's face was ugly, and he seemed to be struggling. Large beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. To a nascent soul cultivator, to a revered Buddha who was well-versed in all methods, this was unimaginable. This Saraira pagoda was immeasurably heavy and immeasurable. Some were even worried that this Saraira pagoda would pierce through West Earth. Do you think I only have 5 godly forms? Facing the overwhelming pressure, Jiang Tian's face was full of mockery. He shook his head lightly, as though he was the one who had victory in his hands. I used this Buddhist pagoda to suppress you, demon, to comfort the millions of souls sacrificed in Maolin City. With each word, Tathagata's Buddhist light dimmed a little, and the 9 Buddhist light rings behind his head disappeared one by one. In the end, all of his Buddhist light disappeared, and he was almost like a mortal. His face was ashen, and his heavenly decay. But he was not sad at all. Instead, he was full of joy. This kid is too demonic. Only by killing him can West Earth be safe. I don't fear death. Tathagata of Golden Rock Temple believed that in the entire West Earth, and even the ruins of immortality, few nascent soul heavenly lords could withstand the attack of the Saraira Pagoda. If there really was, it should be a soul formation grand cultivator. But he had heard that there hadn't been a soul formation overlord in the ruins of immortality for tens of thousands of years. Jiang Tian used the thick earth divine chains to suppress his power, but even so, he was only a false core cultivator. He was a false core cultivator with all 5 elements, but he wasn't a nascent soul cultivator or soul formation cultivator. Then he could only die. Tathagata suddenly spat out blood. The golden blood turned into a golden Buddhist spell and hit the Saraira Pagoda. Boom! The Saraira Pagoda suddenly sped up and broke the sound barrier. It fell like a giant meteorite, creating flames in the air and suppressing Jiang Tian. Fine, I'll show you my trump card. Jiang Tian burst into laughter and cast a Dharma art. The thick earth dragon immediately expanded. It was only a few hundred feet long at first, but then it had reached 10,000 feet. How long was 10,000 feet? About 30 kilometers. It could wrap around Arhat Mountain a few times and was several times longer than the pagoda. How is that possible? How could he form such a terrifying Dharma form? The Arhat's eyes were glazed over and he started to tremble. Thick earth dragon. This is the real thick earth dragon. Danger. The others were shocked and couldn't believe it. They quickly retreated dozens of kilometers. The thick earth dragon was still growing. The galaxy crystal sand and the chaotic source rock in his dantian kept releasing thick earth chi, which filled his body and kept expanding, as if there was no end to it. Moreover, the aura of thick earth was mixed with the primordial aura of chaos, and it was too heavy. It pressed down upon all the spectators to the point they felt as if their bones were on the verge of collapse, and they were unable to hold on and were on the verge of collapse. They ran very fast and were still 10 kilometers away from the thick earth dragon, but it was still so unbearable. Tathagata and the Saraira Pagoda were facing the thick earth dragon. My friend, please wait. We can have a good talk. Tathagata saw this and he had a bad feeling. He quickly waved his hand and shouted, "It's too late. You and I have already talked on the Golden Peak." Jiang Tian snorted and waved his sleeves. The khaki-colored dragon flew up and grabbed the chaotic source rock from his dantian and smashed it down on the Saraira Pagoda. Clang! An earth-shattering sound exploded in the sky as if dozens of nuclear bombs had exploded at the same time. In the sky, mushroom clouds bloomed rapidly at the point of collision, forming rings of clouds that expanded outwards. In an instant, they spread out for 10 kilometers, 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers. They still didn't slow down. In the vast West Earth, it was as though a huge earthquake had erupted. Every inch of land and mountain was trembling, and every corner could hear it clearly. What's going on? Earthquake? Meteorites falling from the sky? Why would meteorites appear in Golden Rock Temple? Tathagata can destroy them with a flick of his finger. Thunder and Buddha light appeared in the direction of Golden Rock Temple. I heard that it was Tathagata. Is the end of the world coming? At that moment, billions of living beings in West Earth raised their heads and looked towards Golden Rock Temple. They were nervous and uneasy as they discussed fervently. Many people prostrated on the ground and kowtowed continuously, begging the Buddhas and Tathagata to protect the world and not destroy it. Clang, clang. Violent collisions sounded again and again. The sound waves were terrifying and shook the world. Air currents surged and swept through the world like a hurricane. The scales on the heavenly dragon fell off and its dragon horns broke. It spat out blood and then collapsed. It was only formed from a dozen golden core relics, while the Buddhist pagoda was formed from 10,000 relics. How could it withstand the might of the Buddhist pagoda? In Golden Rock Temple, many eminent monks were the first to bear the brunt and spat out blood. Hundreds of cultivators who came to participate in the nude meet were reduced to dust. They were only at early-stage foundation establishment or chi refinement and could not withstand it at all. Many of the protective mountain arrays shattered in an instant. Half of the Arhut mountain below was smashed into rubble by the impact. The sky formed by the boundless spatial barrier suddenly shook and huge funnel-shaped craters with a radius of 10 miles caved in. With the crater as a circle, the sky rippled outwards like water ripples, as if it was about to be annihilated and shattered. Even the sun suddenly dimmed, and the world turned dark. Spatial cracks densely covered the world. It was pitch black and very dim. The air currents were chaotic like a long river and nothing could be seen clearly. Will the revered one win? Everyone's faces were pale and their eyes were filled with worry. At that moment, everyone's divine senses could not penetrate the battlefield. The dermic powers and divine abilities in the battlefield were too vigorous and dense. They were as heavy as mountains and filled the space. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.